Hey, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to yet another live stream. This time I'll be doing a 12-team league. The roster sizes here are 21 roster spots to fill. This is a Superflex league. Our salary cap budget is roughly $300. So in this one, my goal here is to make it a little bit more interesting. I came in with a list of players I would like to walk away with. And yeah, definitely I've learned a lot over the past few weeks of drafting. And I definitely think there's like a lot I can bring to you all from what I've learned that you all can definitely leverage in your drafts coming up. I know we are getting into the heart of draft season. So if you don't have one, feel free to, grab a public league or something and just, get something on the books so you can secure one of those drafts for the upcoming season. But yes, definitely looking forward to jumping into this one and going from there. And hopefully, I'll do better this time in sticking to my plan than I've done in the past when I've, tried to follow a strategy. And so let's go ahead and jump into the draft room here and just start kind of walking through what everything looks like. If you've not been here before, this is what this type of environment looks like, especially on the Yahoo platform. This is what the draft environment looks like. I'll say one thing to be careful of is early on in your drafts, if you're in this environment you see here, if you nominate a player, that player will appear in this upper left-hand corner of the screen. And oftentimes, what I've seen in the past few weeks is people nominating players like Bijan Robinson and members of the league not bidding on those players because they thought it was Bijan Robinson. So that's one trick that I've seen pulled off in two leagues now. You don't want to be the manager who gets stuck with Brian Robinson as opposed to Bijan Robinson. So I'll say definitely make sure you are on your P's and Q's there. Make sure you are paying attention to who you are bidding on. And if you are ever in doubt, you can always click on the player. When the player name appears in that corner, you can always click on the player's name and you will see that player name appear here. So I think definitely always do your due diligence. Make sure before you bid, we have 20 minutes, 20 seconds on the clock in term to bid. And when a player goes up for nomination, you will have a lot of chances to click on that player and see who that player is before you enter your bid, before the bidding stops, right? Worst case, you enter a last second bid. I know a lot of managers frown upon that, but like better safe than sorry. So we are 11 minutes from the draft. And so I just like to get in early, get set up, and be ready to go once the draft starts. And so as you see here, we have all of the managers here and the various budgets here. On your left-hand side, we have the average budget, the max bids per team. So because we have 20 spots to fill, subtract 20 from 300. So you can basically bid up to 180, 281 per player for one player if you wanted to go ahead, be my guest. No one ever does that, but like I've seen people make mistakes where they've typed in the wrong number and it's come back to bite them. So definitely want to be careful here. Um, Another thing here is you see the players on the board. This is what it looks like. You can kind of filter through the different positions to see who's available. And as players get drafted, you will see them appear here per team. You'll see the draft results here. You get ranked, by individual teams. Like you see, we have 4 wide receivers here, and just walking through the positions here, 4 wide receiver spots to fill. This is one of my leagues, and I like to make it wide receiver premium if I can, because if not, everyone just hoards running backs and just goes that route. and just gets one or two solid wide receivers. So I want you to actually pay attention to the wide receiver position, which is why I have four wide receiver spots. It forces you to actually draft wide receivers of consequence and focus on that position. This is also a super flex league, so we have two QB spots here to fill. And so I feel like I've done worse. I've done 14 teamers where, you can barely find a QB. So like this one, 12 teamers should be a lot easier. You should be able to get two QBs a minimum per team, and some how do you say it, some third stringers. If you go hopefully cheaper on the QBs, you can have three or four QBs just to kind of rotate guys in that position. If you have one or two top QBs, you can just go that route. So different ways to build your team. It's up to you basically. And then you have the standings here. You have all of the players drafted, all the different positions. The total will add up here to see who has like the best roster leaving the draft, and all of that is based on ADP and projections, and so it's nothing to read into too closely. It just gives you a better idea as to how you compare to the rest of your league mates during the draft. And then here you can see by round, you can see positional grids, how many of these players you have, how many positions you have here. We have four wide receivers to fill. How many of wide receivers do I have? And then you can see where you have more than enough, and so on and so forth. My players, as I draft them, will appear here, and then you have players you've put in the queue appearing here, and then you have the chat as well. The chat will appear here, as you can see people. Um, yeah, just someone's chatting in here, so like, yeah. So, anyways, people recommending things to change about the settings, and just took me a few seconds there to read. So I am, yeah. Apparently, Jeanty went down today. This is one of like the news of the day. So if you've been under a rock, Bijan Robinson, Jesus, Bijan Robinson, Ashton Jeanty went down in practice today. Based on what I've heard thus far, it doesn't look good. He was holding his knee. I'm sure we will learn more as the news unfolds here, but like this is something to keep in mind if you're doing a draft today or in the next few hours, or tomorrow. If you've been under a rock or something, make sure you are paying attention to um Bijan Robinson's. Jeez, I keep saying Bijan Robinson. Apparently, Bijan Robinson is a top of my mind, right? I'm not going to make the Bijan Robinson, Brian Robinson error, but Ashton Jeanty is down. So that's a big deal for managers who've drafted. If you've drafted and you built your team around Ashton Jeanty, it's unfortunate. Nobody likes to see injuries. We are all super excited for the season, and everyone's excited about their teams. It's really, really difficult to see managers lose a piece like that, that you built your team around, which is also a good reminder that when you are drafting, it's always good to draft a how do you say, a more balanced team. And so when there's errors, when there's injuries, you can kind of navigate the season a lot better. So if you did say Jeanty and went heavy up on other position and it just were treading water in the rest of your running back spots, this is something that's now coming back to bite you. So it pays to draft a more balanced team. So keep that in mind as you draft this season. And I really do feel bad for managers who drafted Ashton Jeanty. I hope this is not as bad as it seems, but we shall see. We will learn more, and definitely looking forward to bring you this draft, see how managers react to Jeanty, because we don't know the news yet, right? And so is this something where it is maybe 1 or 2 months, or is it like a full 12 week injury where you can actually pick up Jeanty and stash him in your IR spot and see what happens? I don't know. I just don't know enough. So I'll see how managers in this draft react to the Jeanty news. I know Washington is going to go really high now in drafts. I see him as almost like an Omarion Hampton light type of player, and I think he can do a little bit of everything and just fits that McVay, that Kubiak offense as best as he can. So long story short here, Malik Washington, I believe is his name, is going to rise in drafts. And be also careful you don't draft the wrong Malik Washington, Mike Washington, Malik Washington. In the platform here, I've told you about the Bijan Robinson as well as the Bijan Robinson and Brian Robinson thing. Make sure you click the name if you're drafting to make sure you're drafting the right Washington. But I would definitely like to see how people react to the Jeanty news. I'm definitely going to draft him if he's like $1 here, $2 here, $10 here, just because we don't know anything. Yeah, I would definitely throw some bucks on Jeanty and see what happens because is last I checked, we just heard that he went down with a knee. We don't know the extent of the knee yet, but that's something that can scare managers away pretty easily. So definitely looking forward to this one. My strategy this one, again, focus on running back early, focus on filling my quarterback spots. And I may go second tier quarterbacks and just focus on filling my running back spots with, guys that are in like that mix in the middle part of the draft as far as running backs are concerned, and then go from there. Right. Obviously, there are names that we've learned over the past few weeks that are trending. Obviously, we'll try to revisit some of those names and see how viable it is and what their draft prospects look like, how much they're going for in leagues nowadays as opposed to what they were doing before. So yeah, just sit back, relax. Feel free to, hit me with any questions and comments you have. I'm gonna do my best to try to keep my eye on that. And again, first time I have the comments up here trying to um, navigate all of this on my own. So I'll definitely have thoughts here for you. And yeah, like I said, I'm definitely looking forward to um, this draft. This is the first draft I've done in a little bit, and I'm looking forward to seeing what that looks like. Um, yeah. So, all right. So we have like a minute 30 to go. Mostly everyone is here. There's one player missing. Hopefully he or she's not late to the draft. I like to have a full draft. I like to have all the managers present. It makes for a really interesting dynamic. I don't want anyone to really end up a bad team because they didn't show up to the draft for whatever reason it may be. So this is a $250 league. So $250 is a lot of money. It's not a lot of money, but it's a lot of money for people. And if you spend your money on a league like this, I would like you to show up and really have some fun. And we do fantasy football for fun, right? Sometimes there are prizes involved. Yes, we get it. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know, living and dying with every news and all of the ups and downs of the season. You get affected as well. So, yeah, that's what I've got for now. Let's wait and see what this draft looks like. Like I said, I do have a list of players here to keep my eye on. And as we go in the draft, based on what's available to me, I would definitely try to navigate that list as best as I can. Especially the guys who are injured, guys like Chuba Hubbard, guys like Breece Hall. How are like the rest of the draft responding to the injuries? So let's get started. It's time. Jamar Chase up for, you know, let's see. One of the things you will notice here is that because all of the managers showed up, which is what I like, you get more a good price across the board. No one is eager to spend astronomically high right now. And my strategy, as you guys know, is always to get the tight end position up here and just get a few of them up and go and let people spend their money there. But this is a draft where it might make sense to get some really cheap value early before people start to feel like the crunch. Um, Obviously, we just saw Chase go for 50. That's a good price for Chase in a draft like this with $300. I've seen people spend 70, 80 of their budget. This is what happens when you have all of the managers in house. You have a better draft. Whereas if you had a bot here, it'll be a case of if you had all of the bots here, it'll be a case of um, the bots raise the prices really high, and we all have to like color follow suit. Good. And what I was doing there is just a little bit of price enforcing, making sure that yeah, okay. So I see that players are going a little below thus far as two players off the board. But players are going a little below their prices. I think everyone is a little concerned. I see the Jeanty thing. Jeanty is here. I'm gonna spend some money on Jeanty and see what the news is. If I spend $10 on Jeanty, I'm not paying attention. So how high do I go? Right? It is the case. It is the question of Jeanty is hurt. We know that, but like someone just paid 20 something for Jeanty. It, I don't know, right? And this is like the news is fresh. We don't know. It could be something where he's just out for a few weeks, and that's a terrific, price right there for Jeanty. But we don't know. Um, so you know, sometimes it pays to be bold, right? If I get Gibbs here, this would be all right. I just can do it. I think it's a fair price to go up to 64 for Jeanty. Just pay the price. I mean for Jeanty for Gibbs. Sometimes I just can't stomach paying that price for one player. So you have managers who are price enforcing as well. So there's a lot of interplay here, and if you're not careful, you can get stuck with just players you don't want to be stuck with. There goes the Brian Robinson thing. So I always click on it, make sure because in the corner here it says B Robinson. And they're both B Robinson. And so you're not if you're not careful, you get stuck with one of the lesser version here. Um so we're starting to see now these players go at a premium. And so yes, Bijan Robinson is the correct one. Jamal Chase 50. Okay. So, like I said, different draft strategies. Some teams want to go with studs, so they just want to build their teams around studs. And to get two studs, and then they just chill for the rest of the draft. And that's the anchors. Go from there. Taylor this year, I mean, guys that have told the rock that much coming into these type of seasons, I just can't. It's always the fact that they don't repeat those seasons. And then when you factor in injuries, sometimes it just never goes well because everyone is chasing last year's stats and last year's production. And if you think about it, like the chances of these guys repeating what they did last year is slim to none, right? And regression to the mean, as people would say. And so I'm just one of the teams and one of the managers who's just out on Taylor this year. If he does it 2 years in a row, I guess be I wouldn't benefit from that, but such is life, right? You have to take risks if you want to in any facet of life. If you want to succeed, you have to take risks, and there are some risks I like to take, and there are some I just don't like to take. And one of them is the just the guys who have just had a lot of carries on them the prior season. We tend to see just some tremendous regression there. So instead of spending all my money on I go guys like Josh Allen. Okay. So let's see how high Josh goes. It's a manager here who really wants, yeah, he was lucky to lucky. Okay, so he went Josh Allen went for 53. So these are the type of guys I like to spend my money on, especially in a 2 QB league. But I feel like there's lesser guys I want to spend my money on in this one. So I'm going to try to target this draft lesser QB talent and just solidify the QB position and then go from there. So this is what it looks like thus far. This is the players that have come off the board. Jeanty for 23, obviously given the injury. And again, one of the things that I don't necessarily in a format like this, stop Nakua. So you can always again, it's Nakua, right? It's questionable. I don't know if it's just an injury. I'm frantically checking my phone to make sure that I am not missing anything while we are drafting here. But um sometimes I'm skeptical. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? If a player is just not gaining the amount of steam I want them to gain in a draft, because sometimes the news comes to you late. Um, but yeah, I don't want to spend too much on my wide receiver position. I know this position is crucial here. I just want to have serviceable wide receivers. So it may be a case where I draft your mid-tier wide receivers like Terry McLaurin, those type of guys. Um, Lad McConkey, you know, the Chicago pair of wide receivers. So there's still a lot of value at wide receiver. I just can't stomach spending six, 60, $50 per wide receiver in a format where wide receiver is a premium. Or at least you have to draft multiple wide receivers. And not just like two or like three, but you have to draft four solid wide receivers. And in a super flex league, it forces you to really focus on all of the different positions. Another guy I'm gonna be kind of, you know, I'm gonna be off this year is Christian McCaffrey. Uh, it's just stuff. that's coming out that I don't like. The injury thing is very like we don't know. Is he's dealing with tightness? Is it the same leg from 2 years ago? That's he's dealing with tightness. I don't know. Like they're not giving specifics in terms of what the injury is, and a running back this old at the premium right now. I'll just sit this one out this year, and I don't know who the backup is to get in this case. I know there are multiple options in our backfield, but I'd rather go that route and take a flyer on one of those guys and see what happens and spend my money elsewhere. Um, I don't want to be in the Christian McCaffrey business this year. I don't want to be in the Jonathan Taylor business this year. I think they're, opportunity costs. Like I'd rather spend our money elsewhere. But he might be healthy this year for all we know. But again, I'm a nervous bird, and so I like to be. If there's just a lot of uncertainty there, I'd like to just stay away and let other managers draft those players, um, and then focus elsewhere. And obviously, you can predict injuries. You never know who's going to be healthy, who's not healthy. But if a player is already coming into the season with a lot of question marks, like age is not on his side, he just has a lot of carries, wear and tear. He wasn't healthy the year before. Last year, he stayed healthy. I and just the news I'm hearing from San Francisco and what people with knowledge are saying, I just don't like how secretive they are about what's happening to Christian McCaffrey. Um, again, so there's definitely some stacking things going on here. So this guy's got, Allen and Cook. So one of the things I try to avoid is too many players from the same team. I know stacking has its merits and has its opportunity. It has its merits. But if I'm taking uh if I'm taking a QB and a running back, I don't know. I'm just gonna go for the wide receiver then. Because I think there's more chances there from the wide receiver then. And it's early. A lot of managers have a lot of money. So the prices are just going to keep going up. Allen's the first QB off the board at 53. I don't know how much I want to spend for quarterbacks this early. I may want to go lower tier quarterbacks this one and just see what happens. All right. Everyone's got some QBs here, you know. And yeah, so I think for me, I'm still observing. I've gone too early in other drafts that I've done. I want to just kind of sit back a little bit in this one and just observe a little bit, get some players out there that I don't necessarily want to end up on my team. Um, and let's just exhaust some budget first, and then hopefully I have chances to do something better with my roster later. And if I'm getting guys in like the 20-30 range, I will take that any day over spending 50, 60, your budget just goes further. Obviously, if a guy like, St. Brown is on the board here, I definitely bid because he should be going more for more than this. So you just look for opportunities to buy below value and you keep bidding and see what happens. So if no one bids on him, I walk away with at 40 something. But if it starts to get to like the 50 range, I mean, Jamar Chase went for 50. So this is close enough, I feel like. Yeah. Okay. Not bad. Um, Not bad. So thus far, this is what some teams look like. Let's see here. Koa. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey, Brock Purdy. So these are the type of guys I want to kind of go for early. I know the electrical substation in San Francisco is a big deal. It's a topic of discussion. I know Purdy wasn't healthy last year, but everyone wants to go this strategy where they just pick up serviceable QBs and then spend elsewhere. And that's where I want to be as well. So hey, I've got one. So let's see here. I need to nominate a player here quickly. Tight end. Let's get McBride out there. So my strategy here is nominate tight ends, nominate just the players you don't want, and go for the players you want. And so, whoa, okay, need to pay attention. Did I end up with someone? Okay, I did end up with Brock. Yeah, I wasn't sure. You know, Brock Purdy for 26, I'll take that. You know, I know, you know, there's not a ton of like, you know, compared to Josh Allen, but I think he'll give you, you know, 80% of what Josh Allen gives you. You know, wow. These prices are very modest, is what I'm noticing. And no one's overpaying here. This is a sign of a mature draft where uh, people are paying just up to the price of the player, right? That's a good thing. So that tells me early I can be a little bit more aggressive because what will happen late is the same managers will start to overpay for every player that's on the board. All right. So I can be a little bit of aggressive upfront and get some of the players I want at their cost. Because now if you wait, these same players later are going to be going for, say, $5, $10 over the price point. So I'd rather pay that $3 or $5 over the price point right now. Sheesh. All right. Gary Wilson, all the rage, right? What did I miss? I think sometimes it's just managers who are fans of the team are, you know, and or it could just be managers who are drafting, you know, driving up the prices, and who knows. But yeah, so Smith and Jigba probably go in the 40 range. I think I have a list of guys this year at the wide receiver position that I want to end up with. Guys like Nico Collins, Devontae Smith. I know Devontae Smith, the price there is going to be astronomical. Whoa. Um, and sometimes I just bid to keep the bidding going because for 39 JSN, I'll take that any day. I mean, if I walk away with JSN, I walk away with JSN, you know. But I want people to pay up. Um, yeah, Nicole JSN. Oof, that's scary. That's scary. Um, if these guys still stay healthy, that's a good starting wide receiver. If you get two serviceable wide receivers and just like, wow, that's a good wide receiving core right there. Just two serviceable wide receivers throwing your flex and in here, that's pretty good. Um, I just want to be patient and not jump the gun and feel this urge to get one of those guys. And I know they're difference makers. It's just that I just want to wait, you know, and see what happens here a little bit. Yeah. I have every urge to just bid now, but I think it still pays to wait a little bit. Maybe it's my guy. Maybe it's Jefferson. So let me get one stud wide receiver. Jefferson for 40, 40, 40, 41. Wait, did I get the right Jefferson? Yes. I'm so afraid now because managers are just like they are mugging up this entire draft for everyone. They will nominate a player that you just haven't like heard of before and you're like bidding 40 on that player. So I'm careful. So I think that's gonna be my biggest player this right now. Get Jefferson, and then the rest of my wide receivers are gonna be second tier wide receivers. Uh, Drake London, if he stays in like the in this range, I'll definitely bid more. I think he should go for close to 30 something. But I just don't trust that Atlanta offense this year. I mean, we saw what Tua looked like in the preseason game, and that's a preseason game. I know it's a new offense, new coaching staff, new players to adjust to. He didn't have all of these guys available, but like I just don't feel right about Atlanta. Not the running game, obviously the pass game. We have Tua and Penix. I just don't know who, right? So that could be a value right there. But yeah, Saquon Barkley, 35. So at this price is at this point, like most teams are just pricing forcing. So someone is setting like the floor for the player, and that's where the bidding starts. So if you want that player, if you're new to salary cap fantasy or auction, I choose to call it salary cap because that's technically what the platforms are calling it now. Um, you'll see managers setting like a price floor for a player, and that's where the bidding starts. You don't have to partake in that. You can just wait. For right now, I can wait till like they all settle on a price, and then I can throw in my bid. And I think sometimes we feel eager to participate in this whole bidding fray here, and you can get caught up in that. So uh, but that's why it's good to come to the draft with some level of an understanding of what you want out of that draft. Gosh, one of the guys I want, Ken Walker. So you know, is he gonna go for 50? But this is the point of the season where everyone knows everything about every player, so you can't get away with, you know, being cheap on a player. Yeah, Ken Walker. So you can see I have $188 left. I have to be careful. Um, I need a quarterback still, maybe several. And the Aubrey thing here is just a waste of money at this point. Managers will nominate guys like Aubrey just to like get some money off the board. Every dollar you spend now is a dollar you don't have to spend later. So we know he's the best player in the game from the kicker position. He can literally win you weeks, but I will stream the position. There are times where I don't even draft the position, so for me it's not that big of a deal. I'll just draft the position and go from there. Hey guys, I'm getting some sort of noise in the background. Let me just put this mic on pause for a second, and I'll definitely deal with that and see how best I can mask some of that noise. Hey, I'm back. There's still the noise in the background. I think my super is just moving stuff outside of like the trash can. It's right next to my window, so it's a lot of noise. So please bear with me. I'll be off and on as far as the microphone is concerned. I'm just trying to kind of navigate this one as best as possible. So please bear with me. It's just as you can see, I've got a couple players since I put this on. Well, I've got CJ Stroud. These are the type of guys I want to go for. I know I probably overpaid for CJ Stroud, and I'll only get to know that later in the draft when these rest of these QBs start to go. But I just want to get solid players at the position, and that's good enough for me. I can sit back and wait now, stress free. And if someone falls to me, they fall to me. If not, so be it. Um, so Chase Brown is one of the guys I have as well on my list of running backs. But how much do I really want to pay for Chase Brown? So in that range, in the 30 range would be ideal. If he goes into like the 40 range, then I'm probably out. Um, we just saw Cam Scalaboo go for what 22. That's where I want to be for the rest of my running back positions, and I just want to make sure I have a good mixture of players everywhere. And so I can maximize the $150 I have left. Um, and then we'll see. But thus far, he's probably going to go for 50. But like, this is what you get from like the top running backs in the league. He's one of the trendy picks this year. I mean, I got Ken Walker. I think if all goes well for Ken Walker this year, it should be like a amazing year for him. Chase Brown was two of the players I wanted to walk away with. And I can't stomach paying almost $50 for Chase Brown. So I'll probably try to like allocate those funds elsewhere. Let's see what the standings look like. This is what it looks like because for relative to most people, I've got, some players at the QB position. That's all that it is. And so what I'm going to start doing is actually just nominating the QB position um, as much as I can, getting those players out there, getting some of the budget off the table since I have some level of QB, serviceable QB. If it gets to a point where they're going for a cheaper, then oh well, I'll just grab a couple of them. But I doubt it. I want to be focused on different positions as the rest of the teams here are focused on the QB position. That's how I like to play in at least in Superflex leagues. Get my QBs early, and then just kind of you see Jared Goff and I pay close to that price for CJ Stroud. So Jared Goff better go for a lot more. I just think his offense is a lot better than Strauss. But like I'm just again looking for serviceable at the position. Stroud might not be he might, you know, he might falter like he did last year, but but um one of the things that I am excited about this year for Stroud, oh wow, Jared Goff for 40. Is the fact that he's in a contract year, he's a prove a year. So they didn't sign him after his rookie deal. So he gets to prove this year that he's worth every dime. And players sometimes really do perform and turn out a spectacular season when they're put in this position. We'll see if he actually does that or he failed. If he falters, then fine. Like I would most likely walk away with another, serviceable QB here. But I just want to see what I think Stroud is going to have a good enough year that I can get away with some of what. And guys like these that just don't have a lot of good acclaim coming out of the preseason game. I know like Cam Ward definitely struggled in the preseason game. And so like these type of guys are the guys you want to, if you're going to go the strategy I'm doing, which is just doing mid-tier QBs and then focusing your budget elsewhere. These are the type of guys you want to go after. And then just if I have three, there you go. Done. with QB. Um, done with QB. So one, two, three, that should give me enough rotation to go through these guys. So if Cam Ward is not performing, CJ Stroud hopefully does. If CJ Stroud, that's all I've got, guys. And so I will just kind of wait here, bide my time, and then spend the rest of that money on the running back positions and then fill wide receivers. So I can be a little patient now. I've gotten what I wanted out of like the QB position. That's enough. I may also just grab another QB, like a backup QB, later on in the draft, just to have four. You never know what happens, but these are guys I'm banking on that will have good enough seasons, not spectacular, not Josh Allen type season, just good enough. If say Josh Allen is giving you on average, in an average week, he's giving you 30 fantasy points. If I can get 20 to 25 fantasy points for these guys, for one of these guys every week, I'm good. I'm good. So that's the approach I'm taking here. And then hopefully I can just get stronger and better out of positions. And Caleb Williams is here. I definitely think he goes for 40. And so what I'm going to do now is every time my turn comes up, I'm just going to nominate these guys. Get them off the board because as more QBs go off the board, the crunch starts to hit. And then more teams want a QB, and there's just not enough to go around. And then the overspending starts, right? And that's what I don't want to do. So I don't want to be overspending late for the position. Um, yeah. Okay. I'll put this on mute for a second. I'll leave the draft running here. Just trying to mask the noise for you all as much as I can here. So I tend to pause it when it's getting a little too loud. All right. So I saw Caleb went for $36. That's a really good player someone got. So the guys I want to go after are guys like Javonte Williams, but nominating them early is like, you know, gets you in trouble. He's probably going to go for 30 something. That's that type of guys I want to go after for my running back position. But again, um, this is someone's like, hey, I just want to nominate a player I don't want. So everyone's doing the same thing that I'm doing, which is nominating players you don't want early. Let other managers spend there, and then you can spend on the players you want. And that's what we saw here with Javonte Williams. That 20-30 range is where I wanted to be with my positions. And so we shall see. We shall see. But also, like, I don't want to be too early here uh, because you might be able to find some really good value late. And so bidding on all of the first players that come up for in the auction is great, but then like later on in the draft is where you were like, I wish I waited and paid this for this, but don't wait too long as well, right? Because if you wait too long, then you are still overpaying for the position. So be a little cautious there, be opportunistic. Like for example, Hampton is a guy who he can have a tremendous year this year, but on the flip side, we have Mitchell in our backfield, and we know McDaniels loves those type of players. We've seen him turn those guys into stars, guys like Devon A. Chain, that those really small, fast, shifty running backs. So I definitely think Hampton is a guy who was like tailor made for what the Chargers were doing last year, the Greg Roman offense, just that type of offense. And he's just, I don't know if he fits what McDaniels wants to do. Obviously, he's a top pick, pedigreed, and so they're definitely going to use him. I just don't know what that split is going to look like. Um, and even if it's like just like 30-70 or 40-60, that's way too much involvement for where we're drafting him. Again, you're seeing the top QBs go for close to 50, and that's why I went that strategy. So yes, I paid off for my QB, but if you get two QBs at like close to 50, um, that's quite the price tag. And I think I can spend that money elsewhere. So that's why I went early and often. So Scatterbull went for 22. Scatterbull is also a guy who I'm skeptical of, just given like the injury he's coming off of. So those guys, those type of guys, I'm like just like I don't know. The guy who maybe I would have bid on was Javonte Williams if he was in like that 25 range, but he went for close to 30, and that was my walking away point. But yeah, so the QBs are starting to come off the board now. I'm definitely going to nominate Joe Burrow next year. I'm trying to like force managers to spend that money and spend it on QBs, which is why I went uh, early and got my QBs I wanted, which was the second tier QBs. Brock Purdy for 26 is fantastic. Brock Purdy for 26 and Jared Goff for 40 is like reconcile the two. I think if Brock Purdy is healthy in our offense, he will give you a lot of like a high floor. Um, if CJ Stroud performs, high floor as well. Cam Ward, it'll be a rough season for him, but he would definitely give you some serviceable weeks during bye weeks and stuff like that. Maybe where I could have made a switch was Caleb Williams here instead of CJ Stroud. But that's what happens when you bid early. And I didn't want to go with a fourth QB at that price point. That's a running back right there, or a wide receiver. So, but this is what the structure of the team looks like for now. I got Ken Walker here. I've got Jefferson here. The rest of my players are in that $20 to $30 range is where I want to be. And so if I can just build around these two guys and fill out these positions by being a little patient, I think I'll be good. And that means starting to nominate these QBs. As you can see, the QB here, it falls off pretty quickly. And there are a lot of teams that still need QB. So we have Joe Burrow going, Herbert, Dak Prescott, Dart, and then Bo Nix, and then Kyler Murray, and then Patrick Mahomes, Baker Mayfield. So this area right here is where it starts to get suspect. Before beyond Aaron Rodgers, there's really no one. It's Geno Smith and Deshaun Watson, Carson Beck, those type of guys, they're here. I mean, some of them, one of them can break out, right? Could be a breakout year for any one of these young QBs here or second tier QBs. But I'm not taking my chance. I know CJ Stroud was horrible last year, but I don't think he's horrible 2 seasons in a row. You don't know, but I think it's a contract year. I think he's going to perform well. Second year in our offense, I expect big things. So yes, again, I'm just going to keep pausing the mic here for you. Leaving the draft up, obviously, it's just so I can kind of minimize some of the noise here because, again, like I said, my super is working right next to my apartment window. And so there's a lot of noise from like them, you know, putting all of the things together. And I don't want you all to pick that up. Okay, I'm back here. I think the noise kind of subsided a little bit here. I really wanted this guy's got my strategy. I really wanted a Jacobs or uh a Williams here. So same kind of strategy he's going for. So I really like this very solid running back core with $200. And he's let's see. Ooh, I wanted Kyrie Williams. I really need to pay attention. Need to pay attention because the running backs I want are going off the board here in droves, and there's not much left here. So um, I just let two guys go, so I'm being like a little cheap here. So I need to really buckle up and get some running back. So um, yeah. So I was just paying attention. Yeah, there we go. TreVeyon Henderson for 14. I'll take that any day. If no one's gonna bid on him, those are the type of guys I want. I know everyone's afraid of Henderson right now, but I'll take that any day. Unless there's an injury I don't know of, or that's, I know, you know, he's gonna be competing for touches with what's his running mate? I want to say Stevenson or whatever. I guess getting Ramondre Stevenson, yes. And I think last year Ramondre Stevenson was the guy I kept drafting, and I kept just saying, "Hey, like, can we look at Ramondre Stevenson? Like, that's a good buy right there for Chris Godwin. I know he's like, coming off of all of those injuries, but we don't know what Ibuka's injury is gonna look like. I heard he's got turf toe, and based on what I've heard, it could be a long season for him. But still, I don't want to like invest my dollars in just um I don't want my dollars to go to guys like that. Chris Godwin, I'd rather pick a young player and spend my money there. Um and yeah, so I need to get into like that running back, this Breece Hall, Jeanty, just this bucket of running backs here because the guys I wanted are all gone, unfortunately. So I may spend a little bit more here. Wow. I don't have a lot of money. Okay. That's actually good for Collins. I think that's good. I think that's good. 31 for Collins. I didn't want him because I had CJ Stroud. I don't care about the the stacking so much. I just think he's a guy who's gonna break out this year. He's a player that I think will break out this year. And I want as many shares as possible. Uh, but I want to be now a little careful because I don't have the most budget here. So running backs is still a question for me. So I really have to hit running back early and often now. So like Brees Hall, Jodkins, Swift are guys that I probably go for here. Yeah, I mean Zay Flowers for almost the price of say um Nico Collins. I'll take that any day. I think Nico Collins has like a tremendous year. Um, I think I'm good at the wide receiver position. If I can get a couple more serviceable wide receivers here and just rock with them, and then like the rest is more so focusing on my running back position is good. But yeah, and I'm still dealing with some noise in the background, so bear with me. Trying to pause the mic when it's too loud and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll keep. And if you're joining us, welcome. This is my one of my Superflex leagues. We have to fill 20 roster spots in this league. Um, 4 wide receiver spots. I made it so that certain teams don't just focus on the wide receiver position, but are compelled to actually focus on the rest of the draft. Let's see. I feel like when I'm talking, I tend to miss out on players. Mayfield for $22. See, that's where my regret is setting in now because I drafted like CJ Stroud for what? For 29. And then I also drafted Cam Ward for 20. So I'd rather have Baker Mayfield of that too. But that's how the cookie crumbles. If you want to go early and often for some of these positions, you're just going to have to live with what you spend. Let's get Herbert out here. Because I have a QB, I have three QBs at the position. I don't need to necessarily focus on the QB position. I can keep nominating these guys and trying to get some of the money off the board. That's all I'm doing here at this point. I have my QB positions filled. I just wanted like flexibility at the position because if one guy gets hurt and you have all your eggs in that basket, it's pretty uh how do you say it can be devastating for your team. And so instead of going two hero QBs, I'm going two, three serviceable QBs, right? Brock Purdy gives you that floor every week. If I'm getting, say, 80, 90% of the production from a Josh Allen, for example, I'd rather go that route as opposed to spending all my money on Josh Allen. Josh Allen went in this draft for like 50 something dollars, right? I was able to get, say, Brock Purdy and Cam Ward for that price. If Cam Ward takes a step this year, and he's giving me say 20 fantasy points per week, whereas Josh Allen is giving me 30. I can live with that, right? As long as I have a good enough team to navigate the ups and downs. And so, a strategy that I'm employing here because I have my quarterback positions filled is making sure I nominate QB as much as I can here, um, and just keep nominating them because for teams who don't have QBs, uh, it becomes like a very cost prohibitive exercise. I mean, this team here has three QBs, right? It has like Goff for 40, 48, and then Shug, and then there's just like a lot of empty spaces in between. So it forces you really to focus on how you're constructing your team, and especially with all of these wide receiver spots to fill. I'm lucky. I feel like I got two of the top wide receivers this year, and if I can't get one more of those guys, I'm happy. But I'm not going to cry about it if I don't. I have 90 George Pickens for $31. George Pickens for $31 goes for the same price as Nico Collins, right? And so when you see value early, you want to really like pounce on that value. It's what I'm doing here. So the wide receivers are gonna go now. And I have two solid ones, Jefferson and Nico Collins. I can just kind of wait here, and if I can, pick up a guy like Deshaun Stribling or another, say, serviceable wide receiver later, I can definitely fill those spots. But like I'm so mad at myself because I really let these guys go. I really wanted a combination of Javonte Williams and Jacobs, but I was too afraid to pull the trigger. I was like, I don't want to spend $1 more. So as my cheapness is costing me, because now when I look on the board in terms of running back, it is quite limited who's here. So I'm just going to have to pay up for some of these guys. So you either pay the premium early or you pay the premium late. So I'm going to probably have to pay the premium late. But the saving grace for me is that I don't have to do this, then find other positions. Right. I can just focus on if I can leave with Swift, Judkins, and Breece Hall or one of these other running backs here, I think I'm good. And now I think people are starting to realize like they need serviceable QBs, and everybody wants to get that QB at a cheaper price point as opposed to what they are going for now. So that's why I went early and often I try to get these guys here. So I just can have less anxiety about the position as I navigate the rest of my draft. But yeah, this is what I've been up to. TreVeyon Henderson, I think a lot of people are afraid based on the usage, based on what's coming out of camp. Fine. you know, $14 for a guy I can throw in my flex. I think that's good. I just need to make sure I'm uh still make filling the rest of my positions, and that's hitting running back really hard when that comes around. So for now, I'll keep nominating the QB position because I think that's what you want. That's what when you have a position filled, keep nominating that position. And QB is a premium in this league. And when we look at the standings here, we see that at least for the most part, most teams got some level of QB, right? Most of them have two, some of them have one, some of them have none at all, right? So, and sometimes you get teams that want three QBs like me, right? Granted, I'm going for three mid-tier QBs. You can go for three solid QBs, but that will cost you a pretty penny. Um, for me, I'm going three mid-tier QBs, guys that could break out this year, guys that you know, we just haven't gotten a lot of good news on in camp and through the preseason games, so people are skeptical. I think with Brian Dable, we saw him really turn Josh Allen around, and we saw Daniel Jones have one of his best. I think Malik Willis, that is a good pickup. It depends on where you know that's a good pickup. So let's see what Sal's has done. He's got a good running back depth, man. Just solid all across the board. Christian McCaffrey, Saquon, and then Brown here. That's good, but he needs to fill the positions here. Another guy I'm not going to be drafting is Malik Neighbors this year. I think Neighbors will be tremendous next year. I'm always kind of a little like behind the curve. I know this from just years of playing that when players get hurt, the type of injuries the type of injury we saw from this guy last year, he's going to come back this year. God willing, he's going to play. He's going to ball out. But what we tend to see is that he takes this year to get his legs under him and gain the confidence back in his body. And then next year, right, is the year that I'm going to be drafting Neighbors again. This year, I want no shares on Neighbor, none whatsoever. And especially if he's going at this price point that I can get a player like Nico Collins and stuff like that. Yeah, I think I'd rather go that route than pay enough for Neighbors. So I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place, but that's what we got here. But yes, most teams have got some level of QB. All right. And one at least. Some of them don't have any. Some of them are going the cheapo route. Malik Willis will have like a running floor every week, but I don't know how much I want to like kind of build my team around Willis as my QB, and I don't want to throw stones. I live in a glass house. I mean, look at my QBs here. Brock Purdy's like obviously awesome, but between CJ Stroud and Cam Ward, who knows what happens. Um, I'm I'm hoping that Stroud, because it's a contract year, he balls out, right? He takes that as like a challenge and he balls out, but you never know. And Jackson Dart is on the board. So let's look at what QB looks like. So we have Dart. I think people are dancing around the Dak Prescott pick here. Nobody wants to nominate Dak Prescott because he's like I think Dak Prescott, and then you have Kyler Murray. Those are the two last guys to really go here, and then you're basically treading water. Obviously, we have Jordan Love here, but um, I guess these guys are in the same bucket as my group of players here, so I can't front. But yeah, QBs will go. So see, Jackson Dart is going really high, and I feel like I've seen like a switch in terms of how managers are drafting early on. So Dart goes for 34, but early on in the season, um, Dart will go for like 22, 25, right? And I think it was just like managers navigating what's coming and stuff like that, learning. Devonta Smith. I don't want to spend my money here. I definitely want Smith, but I don't want to spend my money here with my running back position looking like the way it's looking. I still have 90 some more dollars. If he goes for 21, I definitely pick him up. But if he goes for 30 something, I'm out. So I'll just observe it and see what happens. Matthew Barrett came out today with his ride or dies. And Devonta Smith is his ride or die of this year. So uh such a good price. See that? He just got Joe Burrow, Pickens, just getting these really good players for these price points. Um, that's why it pays to wait a little bit, when you were in these drafts. But like the problem with that I'm gonna run into is like I'm gonna be bidding against these guys for running backs, right? The guys with a lot of money and no running back. I'm gonna be bidding against them. So Joe Burrow for 43 is a good price. Um, so yeah, I'm trying to be slick with it, right? Just um see what if I can get a good running back here and there, but I'm not trying to pay astronomically for me. I mean, not a running back, a wide receiver here and there, but I'm not trying to pay astronomically for wide receivers unless I get my running back position filled. That position is really paramount to me. Um, but if I can get a guy like T. Higgins for like $15, I'll take it, right? Um, but like Devonta Smith is the type of guy like I want to walk away with if I had a little bit more funds here. I'll definitely draft him. Uh, T. Higgins for 17. Ugh. So I tend to do this thing where every draft I'm watching quality players go. I'm like, should I got that guy for that price point? But I need to fill this, kind of thing. But I don't want to build my team around all wide receivers and no running back depth. And so what I'm trying to do here is just strike a good balance between um, building a running back core and a wide receiver core. I feel like I have really two good, solid wide receivers. And if I can get serviceable wide receivers to add in here, I'm good. Otherwise, I'm going to like I have $94, right? And I want to have some money to fill my bench, but it's not that crazy, right? I'm not like losing my mind over the bench spots. I can find guys on waivers to occupy those bench spots. But I just like what certain teams are doing here. This guy, he's got what Higgins for 17, Devonta Smith for 26, um, George Pickens for 30, right? So it's just like those type of players. It's really good range, really good price point. My only fear here is that they're gonna come after me when I have to pay off when I have to get my running backs. So how much then do you just say, you know what, I'm not gonna get good running backs for the rest of the draft. Let me just get the wide receiver position like filled. I don't want to do that, right? I want to like have a balanced team here. So we'll see what happens. Um, so Dak Prescott, I expect to go for at least 35 to 40. But we'll see where it lands. And I don't want to be greedy because I'll just keep like jumping in here and trying to outbid people, trying to like drive up the prices. You can do that, right? If you have enough money, you can drive up the prices. The problem here is that if I start driving up the price, and I see a lot of managers do this, if I start driving up the price and someone just pulls back, then I'm stuck with those players, right? You know, and I've got four QBs, right? I can always trade them, but like then I don't leave with the construction of team that I wanted to coming in. So just got to be careful with that. Um, he's probably going to go for cheap. This guy's got money. He's got his wide receiver position filled for the most part. Gonna go after running back next, I think. So if he gets Joe Burrow and so he's got T. Higgins here, pair with Joe Burrow, and then he's got Pickens to pair with Dak. That's that's good, man. That's a good team right there. He can get some good running backs. I think he's solid, and that means I'm going to have to overpay. But such is life, you know. I should have gone. This guy here, he's got all the running backs I wanted. I should have gone Jeanty. I should have gone Jacobs, and I'll be done by now for my running back position. Then I can take more risk on a T Higgins for say $17. Um, and the reason why I got Henderson is like I don't know what happens this year. I don't expect Henderson to take over the backfield and I'll gain, I'll run, I'll snap uh Stevenson, Ramondre, but I think he will have his weeks, right? For $14, I think that's a good enough price point. Uh, so let's see here. Okay, okay. So I mean, this is all good learnings for me. So he's got Dart, he's got Love for 26. I could have gone that route instead of CJ Stroud. So I went early and I was terrified that I'll lose out on the position. So I was saying, oh my God, I can't let him go kind of thing because I just wanted these mid tier uh, QBs. And so I think it bit me a little bit because I was early, but that's okay. A few dollars here, a few dollars there, never hurt anyone. So, um, Breece Hall is also a guy who people are a little afraid about because of the injury. But given this point of the draft where everyone needs a running back, I'm going to have to pay more just to acquire the services of say Breece Hall. But that's okay. One more player like that, and I'm happy with where I'm at. Uh, but I can't sit back and let all of those players come off the board if I need a running back. So this is what the team is looking like right now. If Breece Hall stays healthy this year, which I heard the injury is not as bad as it seems, they're just keeping him in bubble wrap for now. You never know. And it's not the sort of injury that he's at risk of aggravating during the season. So I feel confident in drafting a guy like Breece Hall, right? And so like one more dollar for Breece Hall as opposed to Jeanty or like I'm going to love here. If no one bids, like I'm gonna keep going here until Jeremiah Love as well. Um, I think people are afraid of the injuries. And if that's the case, I'm happy to pay up. So if we look at the running back position here, Jeremiah Love, and then it just kind of drops off. I'll pay the extra dollar or two here. I think he gets used all over the field this year. Um, there we go. So I've got $32 for the rest of my team, but I think that's a good position to be in. I would just sit back and wait for some of these guys to spend their money because yes, they have more money than me, but if you look at the positions I've got, like the positions I've filled, right, a lot of good, um, positions of need here. And I think this is really good. I've got Breece Hall, I've got Love here, I've got someone pick up the Cowboys for $2. Okay. When I start talking, guys, like I lose track of what's happening on the draft board, so I need to really pay attention. Like I've been talking, and like a guy will go for like $20. I'm like, wait, like what just happened, kind of thing. So I really need to pay attention here. Colson Loveland. How much do I spend on? So I'll just bid, see how much it goes for. And so now I can be a little, I mean, I don't have too much to lose here. Do I go 17? Do I go 17? One, two. What the heck? Um, all right. So that's okay. I don't have as much money as these teams, and I want to be a little cautious of how I distribute these funds. But I'm excited that I was able to at least drive up the price, right, a little bit more. So I just like to stay flexible in drafts like these. Like a guy that I'm really high on this year is a guy like, say, Kyle Pitts. I'll just throw in $1 here and there just to keep the bidding going. If he goes, a guy that I really want is uh, Dallas Goddard, right? So that's the type of guys you want, high upside guys. You also have Isaiah Likely here. So there are guys this year that are going to shock us in terms of like their play. And those are the type of guys I really want on my roster, like high upside guys. And I think I can get some of those guys for a cheaper price point than like Colston Loveland at this point for 18, which is a fair market value for Colston Loveland, given like what we expect from him this season. But on the flip side, I only got $32 and I have what, roughly, I want to say 11 roster spots to fill. I know some of those are just kicker and defenses. So technically I have like 9-ish roster spots to fill. I don't have to draft a kicker and a defense, but I can find value elsewhere. And that's why doing your research always pays off. And I was able to like, wait. Kyler Murray. I don't, if Kyler goes below like 20, I'll be so mad at myself because I could have waited. But what I can do is, worst case, I'm stuck with Kyler and I need to fill these other positions. I can always trade Kyler to someone. But like, I feel like a lot of teams now are just like they're trying to get pennies on the dollar. I think someone's going to walk away with a really tremendous player here in Kyler Murray. And uh, should I wait it? Let me see who he went to. Flying. Look at that. Lamar Jackson, Daniel Jones. Oh no, he went to what? Flying Spoon. Baker Mayfield for 22 and then Kyler Murray for 19. I mean, that's a good draft right there from like the QB position. I mean, he still needs some quality at running back, but he's got funds, right? He's got $115. So he's got good value at, I can go one more player here. So I have the funds. Let me see what my max bid looks like. My max bid is $22. So I can spend $22 on one more player. So that begs the question, do I spend it on a wide receiver or do I spend it on the running back position and just have a little bit more depth at that position? Or do I split that budget into smaller portions, right? So I'm still relevant later on in the draft. I don't know the best solution here, but we shall see, right? Right now I just want some money to come off the table so I can so I have a chance to compete against some of these guys. But yeah, great. So let's see here. Williams, Jameson. Um, I feel like he's gonna go in like the $20 range, but this is where you can be opportunistic, right? So if a guy was gonna go for say 20 something and he for some reason he falls for he's comes to you at 12, take it. Don't complain. At this point I can be too choosy. If they let me walk away with Williams at a cheaper price point, I'll go there. Um, but like I feel like teams that waited, like this team, he can afford to just pay for guys like Williams. Look at that, right? So you can just get cheaper wide receivers later on in the draft. But then you also need to solidify QB. So having money early and having money late is, there's a lot to navigate with that. All right, so guys are just going for cheap now. So let's go here. I'm still going to get the QB position up there. Uh, So when we see here, standings. So most teams have got some level of QB play here. I mean, it's teams who are like one QB, there's teams who are multiple at this point. I think most people have got two QBs. So I think I over exaggerated. I was afraid earlier that like I'll, have no money to spend on my QB position. So I went early on and spent on certain players like Cam Ward and CJ Stroud. But now you've got QBs going for $19 and stuff like that. So you uh, I wish I waited, but at least it's like $9 difference, but like you get a better player, right? And so that's the struggle here. But I think overall I did well. We shall see. We shall see what happens. Yeah, just all of the good players I want are going off the board. But again, I still have, let me see the board for, I still have wide receivers. There's still a lot of good value on the board here. Look at me. Um, so I can get a Mike Evans or, Watson or DJ Moore is a guy I really want more shares of this year if I can. Um, I don't know. So what all of this to say is that we'll see. Maybe that last $30, that last $22 goes to another running back, right? Or yeah, it goes to another running back. And then so I've got TreVeyon Henderson as a backup. Um, and yeah, if I can get that, or it will just have to go to a wide receiver because I see like I can get at least a wide receiver for like 17, stuff like that, as opposed to um going as opposed to trying to get a running back when everyone needs a running back right now. I think that's the struggle. Everyone needs a running back right now, and so they're hesitant to spend on the position, on the QB position, because they know QB is here. Most people have gotten some level of QB already, so I played myself in that way by going too early in the QB spot. But I'm also coming from a 14 team league where you have 21 roster spots to fill and everyone needs a QB. So coming from that environment to this environment is a, it's a lot you have to change because you're like, oh my God, QB. And then like you realize it's a 12 team league and people don't really care about it that much. And then you overinvest early, my bad. So it's all a learning opportunity. Next time I'll be a little bit more patient in terms of like the QB position. If I see value, I take it, but I can also wait later for guys like Baker Mayfield. Even Caleb Williams went for like $36. That's like, I thought he was going to go for $40, but here we are. So Bayshaw is going for 22 over my price right now. So I think whatever I have left, I'm going to try to allocate to the QB, to the running back, wide receiver spot, because I'm probably not going to be able to get a running back for that price, given how the prices that people are paying here. So, uh, but I'm happy that I went this route, right? Because it could have been, I could have been here overpaying for lesser names. And at this point, I'm just trying to, if anything, I would just try to drive value up. So he's got Joe Burrow. He's got all of his. He's got all of his wide receiver. I really like this team. I really like this team. I mean, these two QBs are gonna be a lot to deal with in the season. Yeah, and he's got the stack too. But if he can just get some good running back here, I think that that team is gonna look good. So yeah, but my team is no slouch. Yeah, let's talk about it. I've got like Jefferson. I've got Nico Collins. I've got a stack here too. I got some good running backs here. Ken Walker. So I'm good. I'm good. Yeah. Ibuka with like that toe injury, I really don't know, man. This is one that can be sneaky scary. It could just linger for the rest of the season, or he can be over that pretty soon. It just all depends. But the talent is just amazing, So if you're willing to take some risks for a team like mine, this point in the draft, this is the type of guys you want to go after. Um, yeah, but I think like 20 for at this with the injury and what I'm hearing about it is a little steep, so I'll let him go. Um, there's still a team here though, with just he needs. Look at this team. He got running backs, and then yeah, man, yeah. So you need to fill all the wide receiver positions, but yeah, I like to partake in this stuff. So like the beauty of this type of format is like no player is like you're gonna pay up regardless. Like, you know, I know like you know, that's the place I want to be in terms of wide receiver. So if I had waited a little longer, I could have got, more wide receivers, maybe three wide receivers for this price or four. But like that's okay. Like the guys I have can definitely take me through um the season. So I just need to fill these two spots. But it's for me now, it's just like a juxtaposition of like, do I'm greedy at running back because I know the injuries that tend to happen, right? We saw what happened to Jeanty today, and I touched on that earlier on at the beginning of the stream here. So I'm always nervous about the position, so you can't have too many running backs, and it's my approach here. And yeah, so I'm kind of struggling between going 22 and having no money left or close to that and having very little money left, but also just waiting a little bit and seeing if I can get two solid players for the price of that 22, right? And then I have a little wiggle room to just pick up, guys that are in the bargain bin that can just sit on my bench here. That's where I'm at. But like, this team he's got really good running back depth, no wide receivers. Herbert, I feel like he needs a QB. Um, but he's got money left here, so he's just chilling, knowing that he's got, you know, he can just get anything he wants at this point. So yeah, it pays to have money this point in the draft, right? So, but like we are all spending our money differently. Some people have more wide receivers at this point. Some people have um more running backs. Some people have more, wide receivers. Pardon me. And then it's just all over the place. And at this point, it's just like, okay, like where do you spend the rest of your dollars? How do you want to round out your roster? We look at the positions here. I think there's still some good, second tier options here at the wide receiver position that hopefully I can get one or two of these guys. I definitely need to fill the two wide receiver spots here. Tight end. I think I can go guys like Dallas Goddard. I think I see a lot of opportunity there. And then we look at running back. There's still some value here, right? I mean, we talked about Washington, Mike Washington is the name with Ashton Jeanty going down. I still don't know what the news looks like on Jeanty. Let me see what. Let's see what Jeanty or see what what it news. What are people saying about Jeanty? I don't know. I can't get into the news right now in terms of what people are saying about Jeanty, but we all know that Jeanty got hurt earlier today. And Mike Washington is definitely a guy who stands to benefit from that. And so you hope that a lot of teams to don't well, I didn't know like someone in this league broke the news before our draft, and were like, oh my god, they were like, oh my god, like Jeanty. I'm like, wait, what happened? And I went frantically looking. And then I realized it was a knee injury. It didn't look good. And I touched on that early in the draft. It's just devastating, right? For the players. Like for us, we do fantasy football for fun. If you want to like, you know, if you this stuff is for fun. Like I do it for fun. I really enjoy it. I enjoy the process, which is why I started to like try to make content around it, do live streams, create videos around it in my own way, because I tend to play fantasy football in a different way than most people. I don't do a lot of snake drafts. I do mostly salary cap format, and I've done this for years now. And that's what I think is just a better format overall. And it gives you that opportunity to like just do whatever you want to do from with your roster. It gives me the ultimate like autonomy to build my roster however I see fit, right? And so that's how I think more people. I'm done, guys. I got Mike Evans for 13. If he stays healthy, I think that's a good team. I can, pair him with Brock Purdy and, I got my stack here. I think I'm good. But yeah, as I was saying, I have no money now to participate in this rest of the draft. So I'm just gonna have to sit here and wait and talk to you. But like at least this way I can commentate on what's going on in the draft better as opposed to trying to participate and talk to you at the same time. But Swift is a guy I wanted. There's a chance I wouldn't have been able to get him with I had $22 max bid. Yeah, so it would have been over my max bid at this point. But yeah, so like I was saying, I've done this for years now. I've been doing fantasy football for years. I love it. I do it for fun. Sometimes I don't make the money I invest in it, and that's okay. It's not everything in life is not always, this is my philosophy. It's not always like you have to earn money from it, but and that's why I try to make content around it because again, like I was saying, I just have a different perspective on it. I've played salary cap uh most of my fantasy football career, and I just know the ins and outs of it better, and I don't see a lot of people covering this format in depth, right? So it's a one-man show for now, but my goal here is to bring you more content like this, see how I'm drafting, see what the draft looks like before you actually going and doing your own drafts, what you can expect. And again, this is just a super flex league. 20 roster spots. The budget was $300 to start with. Then you have all the different permutations of how people want to build their teams. My strategy early was to make sure I solidify QB because I tend to do a lot of like 14 team, 21 roster spots. So in those leagues, there's absolutely nothing left on waiver wires, right? And that's okay. It forces you to actually draft better. And if you draft better, you don't need to work the waiver wire, right? And I understand everyone has a different school of thought. Hey, like I have people complaining in this league earlier, hey, can you drop a bench spot so we can have more players on roster on a waiver? I'm like, okay, sure. If that's what the majority wants, I'll do it. But just have some fun. And what I was saying before I got into my little tangent here is Jeanty. Jeanty went down today. And it's just sad to see it for the players because you have really high hopes and everyone's looking forward to having their players, the draft that perform really well for their teams. And to have injuries like that is just devastating to everyone involved, right? And I know it breeds opportunity for guys that are lower on the depth chart, but like still, you hate to see guys go down and get hurt because every player that gets hurt is one player less in the pool for us to draft from and have fun and your season can be over before it starts, right? Because I was in drafts a few weeks ago and there were players that Jeanty was going for astronomically high, right? He was going for 50, $60 in those drafts, right? And so now a manager is like devastated because their season is pretty much over, especially if you build your roster around just one or two, you know, stud running backs, which is what most managers tend to do. It can come back to bite you. So that's why I went with the strategy I went with today, which is I want to just get as many players at, you know, as much depth as possible in the running back position. And I know this is still not, great, like for what I wanted to do, but like I'll take this over the alternative. And because these guys were a little hurt, people were a little skeptical to pay for them. And I think that's somewhere where you can find opportunities yourselves if players are hurt and nobody wants to pay up for those players. How much do you know about the player's injury, right? And how much are you willing to risk? I know that if Mike Evans stays healthy, if this is a big if, um, also talking about this, week 8 is going to be horrible for me. I got two QBs out, two starting wide receivers out. Anyways, back to what I was talking about here. But you know, if you build your team around that, now you are like, stuck between a rock and a hard place because yeah, you're not going to be able to find the value you need to off of waivers to get you through your season. So it's just devastating because it's, again, like I said, one less player within the player pool to draw from. So it's sad. Yeah, let's see what's happening here. ETN. So this is what I was talking about. Either you pay now or you pay later. So the guys with money, they have money, but like the options have dwindled. So if you look at what I pay here, I know Judkins gonna be a star this year, but like you could have just paid something like that and got some of these players too. It's like you have that option, but waiting too long, it also doesn't like always lead to the results you want. But I know like he's got good wide receiver depth and stuff like that. So he'll pull through, he'll be good. But like pay up for you mean if you got $100 at this point, what are you keeping it for? Like there's it's like get your rosters and mean positions filled up. Let's then all participate in the bargain bin section of the draft. You're gonna have money to spend later in the draft. And I know there's still a ton of players on the board here, but um yeah, if you have money, just spend it and get the guys you want. I mean, Bucky Irving now is going for close to what Jeremiah Love went for. So I think I did a better job of like the way I invested. But look at this manager. He's got Kyron Williams. He's got Swift. He's got Bucky Irving, Patrick Mahomes, and Bryce Young, Jesus. Um, Gino. But like his wide receivers, that's obviously why he has more money because his wide receivers are whoops. That goes with Montre. Last year, I mean, this is what I'm saying that I have like a lot of perspective on this stuff. Last year, when everyone was saying, all the notable fantasy analysts were saying, "Oh, draft TreVeyon Henderson," I was saying, "Well, based on what I hear, he can't block. Like he can pass protect, right? And he might be fast. It's all get out, but he can pass protect. And there's just certain things about our offense that you need to do, and he's just not. He wasn't there. And so I just kept drafting Ramondre Stevenson. I drafted Ramondre Stevenson every chance I could get. I was ahead of the curve because obviously I knew Ramondre fumbles a lot, but like he fumbles a lot, but like he also is going to be on the field a lot. And so it comes with a good and a bad, right? So Ramondre for $19, it's a good buy. So for me, I'm taking an upside on TreVeyon Henderson. I think bye week fill-ins, he'll do a good job of that. So I'm good. Um, but yes, overarchingly, I have a different perspective about this thing. Last year I was right on Ramondre Stevenson, so it was my little, yeah, see, I told everyone, the only thing is that he fumbles too much for me, because if this guy didn't fumble a lot, he would be on the field. Like TreVeyon Henderson will have no chance. But I feel like Romandro will have games where he will fumble one or two times, two, 3 times in a row at week in consecutive weeks. And the coaches just probably want to yank him. But like their fallback is TreVeyon Henderson, who maybe is not doing everything exactly how they want it, so he can earn playing time. So they just keep going back to Ramondre. And what the way we win our leagues in fantasy football is through opportunity. So he's got the opportunity, he's got the goal line work and all of that stuff. So we shall see what happens. But yeah, since I have no more money to spend, I'm just here waiting, right? I have 19 total dollars to spend with 10 roster spots to fill. That's okay. If once a lot of the budget here dwindles, I'll have a chance to just get a player or two, you know, for $2, $3 here, fill out my bench, get a serviceable wide receiver to plug into my last wide receiver spot here. I'm gonna be underserved at wide receiver. So hopefully all of like the dollar players I'm gonna go after are gonna be in the wide receiver bucket. That's just sometimes that's how the game is played. I mean, you have spend one place, you can spend another place, and that's why I built the league the way I built the league, which is you were forced to spend you are forced to spend in all of the positions equally. You can't get everything. Um, DJ Moore is a guy I wanted to walk away with. Obviously, I don't have the funds to do that. So but this is a learning opportunity for me because like I have subsequent drafts like these coming up. So what I can do is just wait. Knowing that I'm gonna get wide receivers for $20 a pop. I can just get my QBs early like I did, get my running back position settled, and then just wait for um wide receivers and just do $20 a pop. 20 $22 and just like that, and like I can fill my wide receiver spots like that. um but yeah, so it's not a bad team that I have here. I just am lacking depth. And yeah, so if you look at this team, this manager has all the Buffalo players. So he's got Rice, Brown, and he's got Cook, and he's got DJ Moore, he's got Josh Allen, right? Not a bad team, honestly. Like, but the problem with building your team with too many players of the same on the same team is that when those teams struggle, and obviously we don't think the Bills are going to struggle a lot, but when those players struggle, then your week is basically lost. So if the Bills have a bad game, a couple bad games, he's definitely losing those weeks based on what his other players do, because the bulk of his team is built around the Bills. Like his high value players are Bill players, right? Um, but yeah, guys, I need to take a little bit of break here just for my voice, but like the draft is on. I can get any player of consequence at this point anyway, so like I'm just chilling. waiting for the bargain bin section of the draft. What we are, say, an hour 45 minutes into the draft right now. Um, so definitely been one of my fun drafts of the most fun drafts of the season because at least I got some of the players I wanted. Um, I had a strategy in mind. Whether I executed it properly or not is another story. Don't think I executed the way I wanted to, but at least I had a plan. Um, and we shall see what materializes. But this is what I've got, right? I think if I can just fill in the gaps here, let's see what Sam Laporta goes for. It just every price point gives you like a understanding of where you should be and what to expect. Okay, so Laporta went for $8. I could have technically got him, but that tells me that hopefully I'm able to get guys like Dallas Goddard for like, you know, $5, $6. And that's good. That's really good. So let me wait because I don't want any of the guys in my queue to be nominated. So I just put this is um because I'm nominating next. And let me see who I'm gonna nominate next. Jesus, there's no one left QBs to nominate. Running back, Roman Dunze, wide receiver. Okay, let's get Brooks out here, right? Uh, I don't know what you guys think about Brooks this year, but I'm really happy that this kid finally gets his. Basically, he's a rookie. He really hasn't played football in the past 2, 3 years. He's been hurt this entire time, so I'm happy to see him finally healthy and on the field. How much though? Like, do we trust that this year? Right? Like, I think we've seen the J.K. Dobbins thing, where he comes back eventually, and then like he's hurt again and stuff like that. So I don't know. I don't really know what to expect. If he stays healthy, I think he can do really great things in that backfield. I also know that Chuba Hubbard is hurt. And from what I'm hearing, it's not good in terms of the type of injury he has and like does he retain his burst, which is what he struggled with last year when he came back. And that's what coaches want from that position, at least in Carolina. So I think $12 is a really good price for Brooks, um, if he stays healthy, right? So that's why it pays to have money late. So he's got his basically his all of his key spots are filled with running backs. Still hasn't touched the wide receiver position yet, but like at this point he can just go $15, $20, $15, $20. He just go $10, $15 per player, right? Like that's a good place to be with this point in the draft. With having all of the key positions filled and then just walking away with wide receivers as much as you can. So again, let me take a quick break, rest my voice. It seems like there's still a need here for a lot of running back needy teams. This is what the standings look like for me and the rest of the league. Um, this guy's got like the same number of players as me. Uh, it's got Ramondre. His running back position could use help, but he's pretty much set at wide receiver. And if I was him, $74, go there you go. Get Dowdle, just get every other player that comes up at this point and just fill this roster spot. Is what I would do. But like this team looks scary to me. This is the team I'm keeping my eye on for the rest of the season. But we shall see what happens, right? But yeah, for now I'm keeping like that 10 measly dollars that I have to spend, and hopefully I can spend it somewhere later. All right. So yes, like I was saying, guys, I am I don't have any cash to spend. So this is what happens when you spend all of your money early. Um, I feel like Stribling is like one of those hot names that everyone wants. Okay, I mean, guy with $150 still good running back depth, still needs a QB. And he's got the money. I don't know why you don't spend that money on a QB. I mean, he had a lot of chances to spend money on a QB on the QB position. He could have done that right now, right? Um, there was a lot of QBs on the board going for $20, $15. Um, did he not understand that like this is a two QB league? I don't understand, but like to each his own. As much as I like Stribling, I only have $10 in terms of my max bid. And we shall see what happens. I could have spent it there. I think he's a player who breaks out this year. I have a video on the way that talks about the players I'm drafting more off based on what we saw in the preseason and stuff like that. And Stribling is definitely on that list. Um, I just think he's gonna be competing with Mike Evans and Debo Samuel for whatever targets. And I think he's gonna be occupying that Juwan Johnson role. And that may not mean a lot of fantasy points to get started, but like if one of those guys get hurt, he's gonna be feasting. And we know that it's just a matter of time for guys like Mike Evans to pull his hammy or something like that. And so um Stribling is a really good get this year if you can get him for a good price. So, but I just don't understand some manager strategies. Like if you have that much money and QBs were going out here, they were flying off the table, like and I was shocked at some of the prices. Because you had QBs going for guys like Kyler Murray going for 20. Like I don't see that in a lot of places, and so I was like, what are you doing kind of thing? And you're just sitting there with all of that money. But hey, I know Chuba Herbert is hurt, but uh, get Chuba Herbert. So like for me, I know I could get Chuba Herbert for the $10 I have left. But it's for me, it's all about opportunity cost because at this point of the draft, every dollar matters. And if I spend all of that money on a Chuba Hubbard, I have nothing left for the rest of the draft. And I think there are players here that I want to walk away with. So yes, he's filled his roster spots with Hubbard and like Dowdle and like so his running back spot. So yes, you can also go this route where you just kind of spread your money around into like just across all of these player pools. Basically what I did here, just with higher tier players, I think. Um, we should see no one strategy is better in salary cap. That's the beauty of it, right? You don't have to be stuck with a player at a position. You can just draft whoever you want to, build your team however you want to. And in leagues like these, where you have a lot of customization, like for wide receivers and then two flex and then your super flex, it just gives you all kinds of permutations to build your roster and your teams. And so I'm not the one to be throwing stones, essentially. Uh, I think every manager has the right to build the team however they see fit, and that's the beauty of it. And you can say, if only I had draft position one, right? You can't say that anymore because you have the opportunity to like draft however you want to, get any player you want to, get any combination of players you want to. The only thing is that there's like cost associated. So if you spend all your money early, it might be out of luck later, which is some of what I did. Um, but if a guy like Kenny Gainwell's going for 21, I think I did good enough in a running back department. So I'm happy with the selections I made. Could have gone a host of different ways, but I think I ended up eventually with the kind of idea of a team that I wanted. And that was making sure running back is solid enough for me. And I know these guys are hurt, but I have heard that the injuries thus far, I'm not an expert in injuries, but the type of injuries these guys have, it seems like something that's not easy to aggravate. And so I'm hoping and praying that that's the case, because I just built a whole team around these guys. And so I could be left here holding the bag. We shall see though. So yeah, you have that right to build your team however you see fit. And this is what the teams look like. Obviously, there's just some managers with more money than me and they get more of the same positions than me. But that's okay. It's like I'm not trying to be draft day hero here that wins the draft, but I like to be in this area here of the draft. When I leave the draft, I want to have enough players at every position you know, to be in the top echelon of like points projected. Whatever that means, right? We know that like you can leave this and your season takes a turn for the worst. So I mean, case in point, a lot of managers who drafted Ashton Jeanty, you know, if all is, I hope everything is good with Snee because there's a manager here that paid 22 for Jeanty. If all is well with Snee, oh my God, that $22 is like a lot. That's such a good price. That's more for Jeanty. That's more for Pollard. Look at what Pollard is going for right now because of supply and demand. So when I see that, one of the things I do is I nominate the players that I feed the flames, right? I just get those players out there, see what happens. I mean, Dobbins is like one that we know what the history is here. And we know what the history is here. He'll get her. Again, I'm really hoping that this is the year he stays fully healthy. But again, see opportunities like this and nominate players that are here because every dollar now these guys spend is one less dollar I have to compete with. Like, I don't know. This is 2 hours more, the 2 hour mark in this draft. So at the 2 hour 45 minutes mark, hopefully, like, I can get a player here and there. But there's just so much money still on the table. So you gotta make sure you whittle some of that down. And what's happening now is an overpay because some teams waited too long to draft certain positions. Um, but this manager's got good enough running back depth. And if I was him, I probably would have gone Blake Corum over spending that money on Dobbins. You're right, just get Blake Corum. So, anyways, again, his team, he gets to build it however he see fit. And yeah. So that's what his team looks like. I like it. I like it. I think he could have done well in the wide receiver bucket here. But he still has a lot of money. And if I had that much money at this point of the draft, I'll just get two solid wide receivers and then just chill. But like it's like they're holding on to the money like they're gonna take it. So that's me being a little salty because I don't have any money left. Um, so just try to get them to spend some of that money when you can. I think that's the goal here. So if you see that everyone's going after a running back, as much as you don't want to nominate certain running backs, just nominate them and see what happens. It's like hopefully get some of the money off the table, and then we can move this thing along quicker. But yeah, so thus far, let's get married. Hmm. Yeah, it's got good wide receiver depth. Still needs running back. Still needs a ton of running back. So at this point, just start picking up whoever you can pick up. At this point, it's like dart throws. If you waited this long and you got good wide receiver depth and you still have money, I'll just like spend on all of these guys. Like, let it go, because if because ideally you're gonna get one of them is gonna pop for you, right? You got Taylor already. Yeah, there you go. Just one of them is gonna pop for you for $11. If you know JCM pops this year, you got to start in running back. You achieve the same goal that you set out to do, which is draft a quality team. Mm. So if I had money and I was deficient at a position, I'd just go after that position at this point. There's no need to hold on to it anymore. But yeah, I say that because I don't have any money, I guess. But um, I guess they didn't get to this point spending their money lavishly that I did. You can say spend lavishly. Um, yeah, so I think Harvey this year is, from what I'm hearing in Denver, is gonna be uh instead of Harvey, it's gonna be Coleman. I just don't trust this Denver situation. I know Sean Payton is not calling the plays anymore, but I just know they tend to get a lot of guys involved. So even with injuries, if from one week to another, you're not gonna know who to trust 100%. And we've seen there's some Sean Payton teams. So it's up to you how you want to build your team, but I'm not gonna spend like $16 on a guy like Harvey when I have guys like Mason here, when I have guys like uh you know, even Manungai. Like, like I know Manungai is hurt right now, but like I think there's a lot of good, but again, I guess I'm saying this because it's supply and demand, because people need running backs and this is what's left on the board. So if you have, he went Gibbs here. So he went Detroit, Caleb Williams, he got Caleb at a discount. He got Bo Nix at a discount. Terrific running back, quarterback position, terrific wide receivers. You should have got in there and got some running back guys. But like, look at Colston Laughlin, and like Sam Laporta. That's amazing. Um, but like Dylan Simpson, I'm just at this point, if I can get a player for $2, $3 here, I'm good. But I'm not gonna like spend, all of my max budget on Dylan Simpson, because like, I want to be like $2. If I don't get him, fine, he's good. It's good. So now, because you want a player and you nominated that player, let's see, does he have? Yeah, he has Judkins. So he's trying to, I think, injury protect himself. And so, yeah, he's got Judkins. So that's good. But like, I wouldn't nominate him right now. You could have waited like to the wee hours of the draft and then got him for $1 or two. So, yeah. So his teammate could Chase, Olave, McMillan. He got some good price on the QB. Look at what I got here. Murray for 19 in our offense versus Cam Ward for 20, or CJ Stroud for 29, right? So I could have a little bit more dollars left here. And that's what I said earlier. It's like I was so nervous coming from a 14 team, 21 roster spot Superflex league. I was like, I'm not taking chances, and I didn't want to spend astronomically on a QB position, and so I went quick in a hurry, and I got these guys for whatever it did cost me. So here we are, um, and because I did that, I think other managers can get players at a value, and That's what's happening. But what I can hang my hat on is that I got some players at key positions that I like. Maybe Jefferson could have been two players for me, two wide receivers. If we split the difference. Come okay. So this is Marvin Harrison. Um, but yeah, there's just a lot of teams here with a lot of money. Like, what are you waiting for to spend 100 and some more dollars? Yeah, go get this guy. It's like he's got good wide running back. Like, look at that. And like I still don't see him going after the QB position. Like, what are you doing for the QB position, guy? You're willing to go to spend this much on a guy like Harrison, obviously because you need wide receivers. But like you could have spent some of this money on the QB position. I mean, you're gonna rely on Jacoby Brissett to take you through the season. I think Beck, Carson Beck gets the nod at some point in the season. So yeah, Jacoby Brissett is you know, he's gonna start the season most likely. But I think Beck eventually gets the run. Um, and we are paying 23 for Marvin Harrison. You know, like that's what guys like Lad McConkey went for earlier, right? So like you are starting to see people overpay now because that's desperation. And that's what happens when you have a lot of money and you just sit there and you wait. Um, we get to a point of overpaying. So either you're going to overpay early or you're going to overpay late. And if I'm going to overpay, I'd rather overpay early because the players that I'm getting like are players that are like bona fide, you know, solid, going to be producing for me. But paying for Brian Thomas, paying that much for BTJ at this point of the draft is like basically close to what I was getting for my guys early on, right? And it's like BTJ for almost 30 because you have money and everyone needs that position and everyone knows you need that position. If I was him, I would have spent that money early and got really quality at the wide receiver position. His running backs were already good. And I think he just punted QB completely. But you don't never know, you know. But like that's again now how much he's paying for BTJ. Really, $27 for BTJ. You know. Um, but you know, like not everyone is as versed in this stuff as most managers. Most managers do their research. They are comfortable with where certain players are going and stuff like that. All right, guys, go after Algier is probably going to go for 15 or something over my budget. That's okay. Um, I just know that if healthy, Love is going to be taking most of the snaps in that backfield. I know Algier is like we've seen it with Bijan, right? Um, and that's okay. I'm happy. I'm okay. Um, I'll get some bench players hopefully here to just keep my team afloat. Um, but I have enough depth at the position here that like if a running back gets really hurt or like didn't doesn't produce, I can just plug another guy in. But obviously, I'm sacrificing other positions to get this deep at running back. But that's what happened, um, and here we are. So because there's just a lot of money still on the board, I'm just going to sit this one out for a little longer because I'm not going to be able to get anyone of consequence right now because everyone's desperate and the guys with money are just starting to spend all of their budget now. And so anyone that gets nominated is just going to like pick up that player. Oh, Carnell Tate. Good one. I feel like all of my guys got a questionable tag on them. Um, whoops. Uh, Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, the draft is good thus far. I really enjoyed this one. I got some players who I really wanted. Um, not the QBs, but like these players right here. I really wanted some of those players. I got some, especially Nico Collins. I didn't expect to walk away with Jefferson, but like the price was just too good. So I was like, why not? And then Ken Walker, just definitely a little, overpaid there. But like, hey, I think if this guy stays healthy, sky is the limit this year. So, and then so Cornell Tate for 20, Shaheed for 14, Algier for 10. So Brian Thomas Jr. for 27, Marvin Harrison for 23, Rashad White for 10, Dalen Sampson for 5, RJ Harvey for 19, Krusky Merritt. I'd rather go Krusky Merritt here for 11 as opposed to RJ Harvey for 19, but that's the math you have to do and be comfortable with whatever the outcome is. So I want to nominate Rodriguez because I feel like he's really like a name right now. That's Chris Rodriguez is like a name that everyone knows. Everyone knows he's going to factor in our running game. So at this point of the draft, you just throw him out there and let get some money off the board. Because you're not going to get him for cheap anyway. So get him out there. So great, $7 off the board. So at this point, what I'd like to start doing is if I can get some of my backups, like guys like Emmett, do Emmett Johnson. Uh, I think he's number 2 in KC offense. Guys like that, if I can get away with it, fine. Uh, so I would just wait here till I can get another player because it's not going to be anytime soon. So let me see. I got Emmett Johnson. Um, I don't have my backup in terms of Algier, but that's okay. If I get one or two of my backups, I think that's good enough. And so for the Jets, I want to do let's just back up again. Just looking running backs. Let's see here. I'll just scroll down. Just got Braylon Allen. Yep. So get Braylon Allen and then what else? That's really it. So if I can get like a couple of those guys like that, I'm good. Alec Pierce they paid him a lot of money this year. I thought that investment could have gone elsewhere towards players like I think you keep Pittman and you get this talent from elsewhere. There's a lot of fast guys in the league who can, run and cut and whatever, deep threats types. Go spend low on that position, um, and keep guys like Pittman. And I think you have a good team, but they clearly saw something in Alec Pierce in terms of what they want to do. Even though the league is going to too high, shell, sometimes 3 high, preventing you from going deep. Um, but yet you spend your most of your money on the guy who goes deep. But you know they know football better than me. I'm not a GM or coach or whatever, so I'm sure there's a reason he just opens up the offense for them, and that's why they went that route. But I would have gone elsewhere with that investment. But again, not my team, not my money, um, and they're decision makers. So here we are. But yeah, if Alec Pierce is healthy, I expect him to have some big weeks here and there. But like, I'm not gonna like build my team around Alec Pierce for lack of a better phrase here. So Xavier Worthy, I think guys like this one is like $1 if I can. But like that's I can't, I just think he's gonna be just another guy in that offense. We've seen KC wide receivers just kind of like fizzled out. Rasheed Rice is the one that, stuck, you know, but has his own flaws as well. So um $7 is not bad. Like I said, I would just wait for some of these players to come off the board. This guy's got like a lot of money, so he's just gonna pick up every single player who comes up for nomination right now, and you just gotta wait it out. So, but yeah, so I mean, so you could have gone this route where you just spend most of your money on position in this way, um, and have good depth at the, good bench. But I think, you know, that's good. He's building out his bench, still got good distribution of funds though, but he could have done better at the wide receiver position. But it's wide receiver by committee, I guess, for that team. Let's see how much he went for. $12 for Stephon Diggs. As I'm talking here, let me see what's on the wide receivers. I mean, still some guys here. Um, so I'm not going too crazy. I'll let them just spend some money down. There's still some guys here. I mean, Debo Samuel, if that's what you end up with, that's what you end up with. But it is what it is. Um, Wicks is a guy who, I want shares of if I can. Let's see else. Who else is here rather? Jalen Noel, Shaw Jennings. Yeah, this is like too much. But like I think like guys like Coker, guys like Wandale Robinson, guys like Jordan Tyson, if I can get away with it for a dollar or two here, throw him in my flag in my R spots and just wait for what happens. Cool. Yeah, if Jordan Mason doesn't go for over, I'm definitely bidding on him. But yeah, I think he's the last workhorse slash type running back. So if you need running back, like he needs running back. Whoa, needs definitely. But look at here, Lad McConkey, like, you know, Smith and Jigba, just and but then you have other managers here who are whoa, deep running back. So yeah, there's a lot of teams here that need running back. I didn't realize that. Um, at this point in the draft, there's still a lot of teams with running back needs. So it makes sense that they have that much money. And I was just like, wait, why do you guys have so much money than me? Like, not that I have the best running back core, but it's like, why do you have so much money? And it turns out that a lot of teams here still have positions to fill, especially key positions. And that's why you build a league like this where it forces people to focus on the wide receivers and not just like focus on all the running backs and draft them early. And then you don't have to fill your wide receiver spots, but with two top wide receivers, right? And so I made it punitive so you can actually like you have to focus on filling wide receivers and then running backs. So it forces you to really think about how you want to allocate your budget. And this is what we are seeing. So they're just different teams at different positions of the draft here. I mean, we have this team here who's got key players at all of the positions. One of the players I really wanted was Devontae Smith for $26. T. Higgins for 17. That was a really good pickup. And he's got Addison right now, like for 8. He's got Dowdle and guys like that, and just key, pieces that you can plug into your flex during bye weeks and stuff like that. And then we have me here. Obviously, you've seen my roster here. This is what it looks like. I have Purdy here, Jefferson, Collins, Evans, and Walker. Can I got Henderson for $14. I'll take it. Um, I got Breece Hall and Jeremiah Love, and then Stroud and you know um, Cam Ward. So still a lot of teams here with needs. So we got this manager. He just went really big at wide receiver. So his wide receiving core is pretty good, but like you got to pay the price somewhere else, which is at the running back position. So what I did earlier was I overpaid for QB because I was afraid that I'll end up in a situation where my QB position wasn't up to snuff. And that's because I'm coming from doing, 14 team leagues, 21 roster spots. I mentioned this earlier. So you were terrible sitting there shaking, waiting to get like a player, right? And so I'm like, I didn't want to be participating in that all. I was like, I'll just go early and often get the players I want and be done with it. Um, I'll just go, you know, I'll just go defense for now. There we go. You can have added. So $2 is what I'm spending. If you want to outbid me, fine. So I'm not rushing it. I'm not going crazy. Um, okay, who else should I nominate here? Still need running wide receivers, so I'm gonna put Tua out here for $1. Doesn't hurt. If I, no one bids, I got Tua for $1. That's my fourth QB. But like, I feel like, yeah, there you go. He's got what, $10 left? Whoa, he went crazy. Spent all of that money real fast. Okay. At one point, he had the most money in the draft. This manager right here, Little Giants, whatever. And I feel like he really like is gonna pay the price at QB because he just let that position go. He's got Herbert, and then Brissett, and that's it. Um, and he spent all of his money elsewhere on guys like Marco Wilson and like Alec Pierce and stuff like that. So at this point, I'm just looking for anybody, like any life I can throw on my bench. Or, there we go. Um, yeah, and if you were joining us, we talked about a Breece Hall injury. Breece Hall went down today. If you haven't heard, I don't know the extent of the injury. I really don't, but it sounded really severe. It sounded really bad, and I'm really praying for the guy. You know, I hope it's just something where it just was painful, but yeah, that's didn't sound good. Didn't sound good at all. And it really does ruin the game for a lot of managers because if you build your team around Jeanty, if you're in like a 10 team league, totally fine. You'll be fine. You'll find value on the waiver wire. There's plenty of players on the waiver wire. If you were in a 12, 14 team league with big rosters, you're going to pay for a hefty price for you're going to pay a hefty price for a running back. And if you built your running back core around guys like Jeanty, then it comes back to bite you now, right? So it's just sad to see. And then you also like I was so happy for the first time to be able to see what a guy like Jeanty's gonna look like in the Kubiak offense. I just think he was gonna have an amazing year. To just have all of that just go out the window like that. It's really sad, man. But such is the game. People get hurt. That's why we draft the way we draft, have contingency plans, have depth at your different positions. And you don't have to. You can go all studs. But like if a player gets hurt, then what? Right? Um, so that's sometimes how the cookie crumbles. All right. So let's see here. So we still have some key spots to fill here. I think people are starting to get in parity with where I'm at in terms of a budget standpoint. I mean, we have guys like this, and then we have people starting to fill their benches and, QB here, so it's like it's starting to come together. I'm still waiting for an opportunity to fill my roster spots, given given how much money I have left here and how many positions I need. Obviously, most teams here can outbid me because they just have more roster spots filled than me, but I'm not gonna like lose sleep over it. I'm gonna just wait. I'm hoping if you look at my queue here, I'm hoping there's a group of guys here that I can pick one from if I can. Tight end, I have that Malik Washington or Mike Washington, I want to say, is a guy I'm holding on hope for that someone forgets that he's here. So I've already done drop some guys in my queue as these names vanish. I'll find new guys to add to my queue. So when I'm waiting in a draft like this is what I'm doing. I'm always just picking up players that would love to have if all shakes out well, right? But most likely it's not going to happen that way. So, but it's good to be ready in case stuff like that happens. Um, so where was I? All right, so Caleb Williams, some good depth here, has some good depth at the, you know, running back position, not really much to speak of. Algier and, so you can, again, this is the cost of going heavy on the wide receiver position and you neglect basically the Saquon Barkley manager. No, he's got money though. So he's gonna outbid us all for like, you know, key positions. But like for me, I don't want to like spend my whatever money I have left. I don't want to spend it here. I don't want to spend it on Bixby when the guy probably still has more money to spend than me. So like he can basically just outspend me at every turn. Um, all right. So you have teams at Baker Mayfield, good wide receiver core, decent enough running back. I mean, like that's good, right? For relative to what other managers are. And then we have just I don't know what's going on here. And what else? Let's see. Flying Spoon Sal here has good QB depth, decent running back depth. I mean, look at those running backs, right? Barkley, that's one of my guys. It's one of my guys. Um, I'm really high on Wandale Robinson this year, because I just think Wandale last year, again, there were two players I was drafting a lot of. So it was Wandale Robinson and then was also Ramondre Stevenson, and they paid off for me, right? So I just have like a few guys that I'm just taking a lot of in drafts. Um, those are my guys, and I was high on Wandale again this year, but obviously I don't have the money to pay $15 to keep him. So once he comes up, I know he's gone at this point of the draft at least. And here, so with a manager who needs, you know, the wide receiver position filled. So he's going to overpay to get the players he wants, but he, over indexed on running back. So he has to now, basically suffer at the wide receiver position. Let's see here. So this team earlier, just solid depth everywhere. He overpaid for all of the wide receivers, with the exception of Stribling. And then Shug here, he was one of the early drafters of the QB position. So, like me, So we pay up a little more than we wanted to for the QB position. I'm just gonna keep nominating like these guys I know could play. I just want a few dollars here and there every round off the table. That's basically what I'm doing here. And then let's see here. So still needs to fill a bunch of position. Marion Hampton and then Mason is his only running back depth. Um, and then we have this team here, Sam Darnold, and then Allen. His team is built around the Buffalo Bills. He's got what Price here. He's got Kamani Vidal for a dollar, not bad, but like how much is Vidal gonna play, right? And then we have Rice, wide receivers are solid. He's built around the Bills. But you see, I just got like what $12 off the board by nominating Kirk Cousins, right? So, you know, that that matters in at a position like at a time like this in the draft. Um yeah, so and then we have teams here. He's got what? Drake May, he's got Daniels, and he's got Corum, got Jeanty. This is the manager who paid 20 something for Jeanty. Um, I don't know if he got the news that Jeanty was hurt today or not, but like, hey, I'm not gonna fault him. He probably thought at the time he was getting like a bargain. But we don't also know the extent of the Jeanty injury, so it could be like a week to week, or it could be something that season ending. You don't know, so we'll know more. But if it's something where he comes back quickly, that's a tremendous value right here. It's like that's good. Um, okay, I see what you did there. Giddings, I'll go like what's his name? I'll go the other running back in that backfield. I'm not hearing good things about Giddings, but that's yeah, he has JT. He has JT. I'll go Seth McGowan, for example. But he has JT, so I understand that he's trying to solidify himself. And then like Bradley Wings here has Gino, a QB, has a slew of, you know, his value I think comes from the running back position. Um, he's got good enough quarterback. He's just stacking value here, you know, as we go. So I'm still good for where I want to be. Um, I still have some players on the board I want to go after. I don't have a lot of budget. I have $19, right? So my max bid here is $10. I can only spend that on one player, but I'm waiting for the point of the draft where I can get players for $5, $3, and stuff like that to just round out my roster. That way, that $10 max bid goes a little further than what it can do right now for me if I spend it all in one place. Um, So I'm just trying to get budget off the board. There we go. So my guy here, for all intents and purposes, is done, right? Um, so yeah. So you're starting to see teams be basically done, and it provides room for teams like me that still have very limited budget to be able to like get some players. Yeah. So yeah, so it's been a long draft. We're approaching what 3 hours in this one. Yeah, so if you're not, one of the things I tell people is that one of the downsides of salary cap drafts and this type of format is it takes a ton of time, tons of time to like get through this stuff. With snake drafts, you would have been done by now. But I love it. I love sitting here suffering from time to time. I don't like suffering, but sometimes that's what happens. Sheesh. This is my guy. Yeah, we really want. All right, all right. I see you. I see you. Definitely NFC. Okay. Um, Yeah, I could have gone more for him, but like I didn't want to like I could have gone more for what's his name? Dallas Goddard, but I didn't want to like, yeah, blow the entire budget. But that's okay, it's like I got $7 left. So I will still get a quality tight end. Um, we are all in this range now where we have, yeah. So I'm just hoping that the guys with budget just start spending some of that budget so we can be done here. So I can actually like try to get out of here. But what I just did was I got a Texans. If you see any of my drafts this year, I'm leaving with a lot of Texans players. Um, in terms of just like not Texans players, but like the Texans defense rather. Sorry, I'm trying to pay attention to what's going on the screen here and also like keep an eye on just the broader picture and talk to you. But let's see here. My bad. Let's see here. Did someone send a chat in? One, my first chat, right? I don't know. Damn Johnson. It's a guy I definitely want to back up. What's his name? Ken Walker. Yeah. Oh, what did I do here? Sorry guys, like I think I lost my bad. I think I lost something here. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So there was a chat I think that came through, but was trying to figure out how to do all of this stuff. It just didn't materialize for me. But if you have a message for me, just feel free to drop it at the comment section as well. I'll definitely get to it. I definitely appreciate you guys you know, rocking with me. I'm having fun doing this stuff. I hope for those who tuned in, uh you took away one or two things from what I'm doing here. Like I said, I'm trying stuff. It's new. I'm doing all of this by myself too, so um, I'll get better at it. I'll bring you more of this type of content. And I think the beauty of doing a draft like this is you get to see what it is like to participate in these type of formats before you actually get the chance to do a draft, right? And so I think it is definitely worth watching what this draft looks like, how it typically unfolds. Um, yeah, so we still have managers with a lot of money here. I'm hoping they can just let's get them out because there's still a lot of good players on the board, like Carson Beck, Sanders. If I want an extra QB, there's like guys I'll go for. Kate Klubnik maybe, but I don't need quarterbacks anymore. Um, I have three solid QB. Whoa, spent all his money on Aaron Jones. Okay. So who else is there for running backs? Let's look at running backs. We have Zach Charbonnet still here. We have, Spears still here. We have Coleman still here, right? We have my guy Washington still here. Then we have the rest of just like guys that back up other guys like Pacheco and that's it for me, right? If I can get one of those guys, I'm good. And then from the wide receiver position, which I still need to fill wide receiver, we still got Makai Lemon here. We've got, you know, Dobbs, we got Shakir, we got Keenan Allen. Maybe I'm really like McMillan this year. Um, I like Flanoy this year. Pat Bryan, not so much. So like I'm just gonna kind of slow play this and see if I can get away with, you know, Mike Washington. But there's still a lot of managers with money here. I think they are all just sitting by waiting for the same thing I'm waiting for. So if I can just get high end quality backups like guys like Pacheco, because I may want Mike Washington, but it's just not going to work. There's still just a ton of managers here with money, and so I just need to get players I can get right now, and not let them go for a dollar or two. Um, because I still see there's still a lot of managers here who can outbid me. So I can be waiting forever, and they can still outbid me, right? So that's the game you play. Whereas I would have let a lot of solid backups go off the board. I'm just gonna like get who I can for $2. That's fine. I'll deal with the consequences later. Um, I don't have a lot of depth at wide receiver. So I need to start taking, I need to start. Oh, there we go. There we go. There goes the Mike Washington. There we go. Everyone was waiting for this one. So if you're the guy with $23, just spend, as much as you can at this point. It don't matter. Just outbid everyone. Yeah, he can. So, and he's got the gent. He's the Jeanty. Whoa, he's just not the Jeanty. See, that's a really good pickup right there. And that's why it pays to have money late. You know, me wide receiver is suspect, but running back is a strength. Yeah, tight end I will fill later. Marks, Woody Marks for $5. Okay, I'm catching up on some of these, right? I'm just trying to figure out because I'm trying to talk and like keep this going as well. So sometimes I get sidetracked. I'm like, oh my God, like what happened? Like who went for what? Like, and so I'm just catching up to some of these. Um, so yeah, and if you were new here, I see, not much, not many people, but like I see a lot of you have joined, new people have joined, checking this out. But yeah, all I'm doing here is a live, salary cap draft, for one of my leagues, Superflex. This is what I've got. We are in the wee hours of this one. This is how much people have got to spend in terms of max bids. And so I'm just trying to navigate and operate within that max bid range here and get some players. So I still need tight end. I still need a wide receiver. I still need some wide receiver depth here. I feel like if I get one more running back, I'm probably not going to draft a kicker, to be honest with you. So like that's the type of stuff you can tinker with. The season is still new. You can always pick up kicker before the season starts and put someone else in, drop someone else. And sorry for the noise, New York City, you tend to get a lot of noise. Um, and yeah, so This is where I'm at. I was trying to get some backups like Emmett Johnson. It's definitely a guy I wanted to back up. Ken Walker, definitely Shakir. So these are the type of guys I want to spend my money on that's left because I think Shakir gets moved around the formation like crazy this year. Um, and if that's my wide receiver four, I think I'm good, right? So I can always get more depth. Whoops. Now I'm getting walking with God, Lemon. Oh, there we go. Thank you for saving me. So I didn't want Lemon at the price point, right? I think there are other players who I can walk away with, and it's not Lemon. I know he's gonna be good. I don't think he's gonna be that good out of the gate, right? So someone just bailed me out. So thank you for bailing me out. I think a guy like Shakira outperforms um, Lemon this year, right? And so that's how you want to think about this thing. I want Tyson, guys like that I want to end up with if I can. Um, put him in the flex, wait what, see what happens. But again, I'm not going to spend you know, my budget there. I'm just hoping to get them for like $1 or $2 here. Um, so you can have at it. So I'm just trying to also, as I do this, I'm trying to, how do you say? I'm trying to get some of this money off the table and also trying to get some of this money off the table and get a player as well. So like the players I want, if they come up, nominate them for $1, and if not, that's fine. You know, it's like, um, so yeah. So when you look at just, let's look at rankings here. This is where I'm at, middle of the pack, not too bad. You know, I can always do better, but yeah, I think I did well for the most part. Um, when we look at tight end, I still have likely here. I have Juwan Johnson. I have Dalton Schultz, right? So I still have options. Not great options, granted, but I still have options. I can also go TJ Hawkinson if all else fails. I got Kenyon Sadiq. So it's just stuff like that. I think it's like how you want to like play the board. I still have Darren Waller. You know, I know these guys are not gonna be league winners when it comes to like the position, but like if I'm already like, you know, at a disadvantage at the position, like there's no, there's nothing wrong with throwing darts. And so I have still a lot of spots to fill, and I have $3, and I'm hoping that a lot of teams don't outbid me. Let me see for Jalen Coker. Okay, so it's out of the question, anyways. So wide receiver Jalen Coker gets to go to Mr. Sal here with all the money, all the moolah. This team, he's really good, right? It's like his team is going to be good because he waited. He's just filled out running backs and waited and waited and waited. And now he's just picking up values. He's picking us up, off one by one. Wide receiver is suspect, but he can do it by committee. So that's the approach. Um, so again, I wait, right? There was a period there where I hit boom, 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 got 3 players. Then I wait, and just kind of play it that way. That way you stay in the flow, but getting some value I got like the Texans defense. I got my backup, Emmett Johnson for KC. Um, I've got Pacheco for $2. You never know what happens after today. I'm just like to people who drafted Jeanty. Yeah, yeah. Um, after today, it's just you never know. So just stack a lot of these guys as much as possible, and then I think you'd be good for the most part. Um, Romeo Dahl, yeah. So a lot of these teams are gonna outbid me, so I just gotta be patient. Um, I still need wide receiver depth, but like I can also work the waiver wire, right? Um, but I'm looking at getting one more solid running back, one more solid backup running back, and then like wide receivers the rest of the way and tight end. But we shall see. Uh, Still a lot of money on the table for this point of the draft. There's still a lot of money on the table. I know we are all in the bargain bin section of this draft now, but if you have a guy with $11, he can outspend you. So I'm just chilling at this point. Um, so the guys in my queue are guys like Zia Likely, Allen, Wicks, um, Carson Beck, just for like I'm probably not gonna end up with any of them, but like, you Zach Charbonnet is still here. Coleman still here. Spears is still here. Right. So like there's still a lot of good value on the board. Um, I've got $3 to spend. So I'm hoping the teams with money you just get to spend some of that money and I can just get some of these players here for $1 or $2 and call it a day. But that's what I'm waiting for. So still a lot of good value that I want on the board. Uh, so yeah, like I'm not going to spend my money on Denzel Boston, like a guy like that, when I have, Spears and Coleman and, I go McMillan, Flournoy, right? Guys like that. If anything happens in a Dallas offense, for example, any of those two guys gets hurt, Flournoy is a guy who can definitely, we've seen it last year. He came in and yeah. So this way, at least I force them to spend some of that money on Zach Charbonnet. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So I wanted Charbonnet, but like there's just a lot of teams with money, more money than me. And hopefully this is one where somebody's gonna blow their budget, right? And it's good for all of us with measly budgets. Yeah, sorry guys. I had to get a drink of water. I've been doing this since 8 o'clock. So we're pushing 3 hours, right? And this is just a 12 team league with 20 roster spots. So this thing can take forever. So if you don't have the time to sit there and draft your team, uh, you know, maybe salary cap is not the one for you. Just know that it takes a lot of time. Uh, see, does he have the? Does he have? Okay, so he's got. Oh, I need a tight end. Likely, it's a guy can spend my last few dollars on to fill the tight end position. Whoops, that was a no rejected. All right, let's see what you got here, sir. There we go. Good. I like it because spend our money. So he's got tight end. Yeah, he got tight ends. Okay, good. But you're done now, right? So that's good. You're done. I still have a lot of options. I can go to on shows. I can go. So I have options. I can stream the position. I don't want to spend any of my dollars on that. So I know Juwan Johnson's gonna have probably one hell of a season. Um, but we're getting to the dollar bin section now. Most teams don't have that much money, but I still have. So I'm gonna force someone to outspend me for Spears. Um, I'm not gonna let him go for $1. Well, did I get him or did someone outbid me? Okay, cool. So yeah, um, so I'm getting some good value here for $2. That's all you want. You just want to stack a bunch of these guys and you know, all right, go ahead and trade Tucker. Like if you wait so long, with all of your budgets, just because it's like trade Tucker is not like it's not that serious. And someone outbids you, right? You get into a bidding war. Don't select the guys you want at this point. If you have that much money, you can outbid everyone. Just give it one more round. That money will like dissipate and you probably get the players you want anyways. Uh, yeah. So I think we are getting to the point where most teams are probably done. Um, so two more rounds here, and I think for the most part, some of us are done. Um, yeah. So still, this guy, he still needs a lot of wide receiver depth. Still got $9, so you just need to start filling that position out. But yeah, one more round, forcing me to spend my money. You did this to me, bro. Like he knew I needed a tight end. He's trying to get my little $2. There we go. So now everyone can outbid me. Um, but that's it, guys. Like from here on out, it's all $1 per player. Um, so but good draft overall. Um, I like what I did here. Granted, I could have done better in terms of my wide receiver position. I still don't have I don't have any depth when it comes to wide receiver. Um, but I'm gonna just pick up a few here and there. Let's see what Garrett here has. He's gonna pay for every single player that comes up. Um, yeah. So I'm gonna just fill the remaining spots here. I have 4 spots to fill. I'm gonna fill those 4 spots with just wide receivers, and if I can get one more player, which is Braylon Allen, I will. Coleman, but other than that, I think I'm good. Remove these guys. Back is still here, so let's see what this looks like. And so we're getting like the kickers are coming off the board now and stuff like that. So yeah, we are definitely in the dollar bin territory. See where what the rankings say. Okay, still in the mist here. Um, I didn't want to be out of money at this point. I really didn't, but my hands were forced. um, but yeah, you just gotta go when you see it, the opportunity. So for some of us who are still here, I mean, there's some teams here that are still need players, but we all just operating in a dollar bin. But they've already turned their drafts off and gone to bed. I mean, tomorrow's a work week, so tomorrow is a work week, so people got to go to bed. Can be out here for 4 hours. So like 8, 9, 10, 11, 9, 10, 11. So 3 hours. That's how tired I am. I can't do the math right now straight, so I'm just counting my fingers. But almost there, I feel like maybe by 11:30, so 3.5 hours. At least I know I can plan for this in the future. I know when I have these type of drafts, it's going to cost me 3.5 hours. So I can always plan for this. Well, mm, Jonah Coleman. So apparently this is the backup in Denver. Um, if I had $1, I had him on my list of players to draft, but I don't have money. So let me see if someone paid up for it. No, I just went to Samaje P. Ryan. Do you have P. Ryan, sir? No, you don't have Chase Brown or stuff like that. So, but he's still the guy with the most money, so he can outbid you for almost all the players you want. And so I don't know if I was him, I'd take Jonah Coleman as well over, because what's his name can't stay healthy. J.K. Dobbins most likely doesn't stay healthy, and Jonah Coleman is a back that's trending in the right direction. Apparently, he's the guy to own in the backfield if something happens. So you want as many shares of Jonah Coleman as you want, and as you can get. I just don't have the money to outbid anyone here. So I couldn't. So he was a guy definitely. So Wicks is a guy I wanted to. I wish I kept a few dollars. So apparently Wicks is running with the ones in Philly. Um, so he's smart. Wicks is running with the guys in the ones in Philly. I think he definitely solidified that spot over, you know, Kyle Lemon. So uh, she won 3 tight ends. One, two. All right, she wants 3 tight ends. I have 3 tight ends. But I like his bench. So let me see what I've got here. Obviously, obviously, like I was just waiting for that to happen. But he's got the most budget right now, so he's just picking up everyone he can, which is good strategy. If you have that money, you can take it with you, so use it, my friend. Um, it just takes me one more cycle through the thing, without the players I want, which Braylon Allen is a guy I wanted. Try to get my backups. I have Breece Hall, but I think it is what it is. Um, so yes, we are at the end of this thing here. I'm just trying to get out of here at some point, but you always have one manager with the most funds, and it just keeps. So it's not much you can do about that. So Tyreek Hill. So I need to go back here and find more wide receivers that I can, you know, throw on my bench. On Jennings, maybe. Who else? Calvin Ridley still here. Bateman, probably go Bateman next round. Tank Dell still here. I don't know if he plays at all this year. But he's a guy you can throw in your IR spot and just wait to see what happens. So yeah, I see we have a little bit more people in here. Thank you all for joining. If you were joining if you're new here, we are at the end of this draft. I can barely speak because I've been doing this for 3 hours plus, and I'm just trying to round out my team. See here, just looking for anyone with a pulse, right? That I can put in to round out my team. I don't have a lot of depth as far as wide receiver is concerned. So I really need some wide receivers, dart throws I can just put in my bench here. But just other managers have more money than me and they can outbid me. So that's where we are. So 4 spots to fill. My goal is to go mostly wide receiver, but like let me see here. I've heard a good thing about Cyrus Allen. Uh, first 3 quarters of play. So yeah, I'm just at this point. There's no one left, and I'm just looking for offside plays. I've heard a lot of good things about Jalen Lane, or that's his name? Jacoby Lane. Jesus, Jacoby Lane. Um, all right. Saved all my money for Ray Davis. Go ahead, guy. Um, Pat Bryan, maybe Jared Judy. I don't know. Um, so yeah, guys like that are the ones that I'm probably gonna end up with. I'm trying to see here. Ted Hurst. Yeah. So when you are left with $1 every round, you lose out on a player you want. And that's what's happening to me. So the players I nominate gets sniped. And so I can't pick up a guy like uh, Pat Bryant because time comes around. There we go. So Allen, if he doesn't, someone else doesn't pick him up, goes to Bradley's team here. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I'm just again, I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna go Carson back here. I think at some point he plays. Um, yeah, because there's just a few teams with a few more dollars than me. They're probably gonna outbid me for anyone I throw out there. So I just let them pick who they want to pick at this point. But I have a good enough teams I can pick up three, flyers at wide receiver and call it a day. But I have Ward, I have Beck, I have CJ Stroud, and I have Brock Purdy in a full QB league. I mean, in a two QB league. Four, jeez. But like this is what my team looks like. I've got Jefferson, Nico Collins, Mike Evans, Shakir. I have, Ken Walker. I have TreVeyon Henderson. Maybe this is the year. Breece Hall, you know, Jeremiah Love and CJ Stroud, and then like just trying to fill out the bench here. I don't have much in terms of wide receiver depth. All of the guys I had on the board have been sniped. So at this point, I'm just looking for a few names to throw on my bench just in case. That's where we are. Jared Judy, if he didn't drop everything, would be a good candidate, but he drops everything. And excuse me, I don't expect a lot of volume from that offense this year. So we'll see. Um, yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know what's going on with guys like Dotson. I mean, Keon Coleman is still here. I just don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You guys expect Keon Coleman to produce any value, any good fantasy value this year? I do not. Um, I think he would be a spot fielder with big games where he catches one bomb or two here, and that's it. But I think for the most part, yeah, I don't see Keon Coleman making any noise. Um, so I'll go with Rashad Bateman. Maybe someone outbids me, but we shall see. Go with Rashad Bateman the next one time around and try to get out of here. If someone don't pick him up right now, okay, Singleton. All right, so I have some players in my queue here. Don't know what to expect from Calvin Ridley. Probably not much at this point. Bateman's a guy who I'm still high on, so I'll go Bateman. I'll go Tank Dell. See if I can get away with Bateman. But of this list of names, guys, like, do you see anyone that makes sense here, right? Like, I don't see anyone who makes sense here. Besides guys like Jerry Judy Jennings, maybe. I don't know. Let me see running back. So I've got, do I have? Good. I have one more spot. Let's see here. Running back. Demond Claiborne. Yeah. I got enough projects at, yeah, there we go. I got enough projects at running back that I think I am good for the most part. Um, all right, so sure. Yeah, good pickup. Just so this guy's like right. This guy's like um Hill. This guy's like see what should do Tank Dell for now. See Juwan Jennings. Yeah. Um so I got one more spot to fill. So I can go Hill, right? I know we've all been waiting for the fall off of Derrick Henry. So Hill is a guy who's stands to benefit if something happens. Like, oh, I can go right, you know. So who do I go with? Yeah. So I mean, I can wait. What just happened? Oh, Kalen Black. Okay. Um. So I have to make a call here quickly at that. So I'll probably just go um right. Right. So yeah, I just go right. I can't decide on the wide receiver. I'd rather have a lot of lottery tickets at running back than forcing Calvin Ridley or Keon Coleman or something like that. I'm fine. Like I can work waivers and get a player or two here in terms of wide receivers. I'm sure there will be players that emerge over the course of the season who I can pick up. But I'm horrible at the wide receiver position. So, but maybe I could also work something out in terms of trades. But yeah, guys, so this is what my team kind of looks like. Like I said, when I draft, I like to be in this top whatever here, the top five in terms of projected points. Doesn't mean that I'm gonna win the league, or we know a lot of things happen over the course of the season, but this is what all of the managers, this is what all of the teams kind of look like. I didn't draft a kicker, something. So like I didn't draft a kicker right here. I did draft defense though. So the rest of the teams here are just filling out all of the roster positions, but you know, it was a good draft overall. A lot of different strategies. You have different players going, different managers going with different strategies, and try to see if I can get, just this manager, Joe Burrow, and then just a lot of like good wide receiver depth, and then filled out on running backs late. I'm trying to speed through this. This is my team where I have Purdy early, I have Jefferson, Collins, and Evans and Shakir, and then running back I have Ken Walker, Breece Hall, Jeremiah Love, and then I have TreVeyon Henderson. Whoops. And then we have guys like Johnson, Pacheco, Spears, Carson Beck. I probably we'll see. I'm probably trading to a manager who needs run a QB when the season starts. Tank Dell and right. So I didn't draft a kicker, but I did a wide receiver depth. I just don't have any. But that's the beauty of this thing. You get to choose what strategy you want to go with. And then just different managers had different strategies. So this guy went heavy up on the QB position, on the wide receiver position early and often at QB. I mean, at running back, you got H-Hand, and then like Bixby, and this is the Goddard guy who took Goddard away from me. But a lot of managers drafted 3, 4 tight ends and stuff like that. I think it's just when you get to this point of the draft, a lot of managers just like, oh, I don't know who else to pick up, so I'll just draft a tight end. Um, at least for those guys, they can project those guys having a role, and they can always throw those guys in their flex during like bye weeks and stuff like that. So again, just a lot of different strategy here. Here you have some good wide receivers, and just running back depth is lacking though. Running back depth is severely lacking. So just like mixed bag in terms of how you can construct your roster. Like I said, that's the beauty of salary cap fantasy sports. You can build whatever combination of roster and players you want. Some people waited late, and then they spend all of their money on mediocre players. They're overpaid. This manager, I like his draft because he got Baker Mayfield for cheaper than I got some of my quarterbacks, and he got Judkins, he got Bijan Robinson, Bayshall, and then Kyler Murray for very, cheap. And then he got like Woody Marks, Charbonnet. I mean, yeah, Charbonnet, and then like Isaiah Likely. So that's a good bench right there, right? So it's just good overall drafting here. So, so just again, different managers, different approaches. But yeah, guys, I can go through all of this, but this is what the board, players look like. Not that it makes any sense to you looking at it that way. You can go by round and see where we spend per player here. Um, in the positional grid here. Uh, so you can see how many of these players each person has. This guy has 7 wide receivers, 8 wide receivers, so a lot of people over index on wide receivers. Where I over index is the running back position. And then I have 3 quote unquote QBs. You know, so yeah, it's a lot of different roster constructions. But yeah, thank you again for watching. If you did watch this one, I really try to learn from the other drafts I've done in the past to really build something here that I can be proud of. And I feel like I'm confident leaving this draft that I will have a chance with this team come, you know, come season, right? So I have just some good key players in key positions that will give me a chance every week. Where I'm the weakest is my wide receiver position, but that allows me to work the waiver wires. I can, try to trade for a player or two here and there. You know, people would drop players. A lot of teams here didn't draft kicker or defense. They'll have to drop somebody, and I'll just wait and just be a pest on the waiver wire. But again, just one more time so you can see what my team looked like. Um, so shucks. All right. This is what my team looked like. If you can see this at all. Let's try to make this move this in a little bit. All right. So this is what my team looks like. We got Purdy, Jefferson, Collins, Evans, Shakir. I have Walker, Henderson, Schultz, and then I have Hall, Love, Stroud, and then Cam Ward, and then just a bunch of backup types that I can, mine for gold. Basically, you never know what happens. We saw Jeanty go down today, and I touched on that several times in the stream here. I talked about how devastating that is for the player. And we play this game for fun, so it's just sad to see that. If you're a manager who was super looking forward to having Jeanty as one of your workhorses this year, unfortunately, he's no longer um, available. Well, we don't know that yet. I haven't gotten any news saying that it is this injury or that injury. I'm sure we will get to know more tomorrow, but it didn't sound good, right? It didn't sound good at all. So I'm definitely hoping it's nothing severe and, speedy recovery to Ashton Jeanty. I was really looking forward to a tremendous year from him. But that is it, guys. Thank you for watching. I'll definitely be back with more of these streams on my drafts. Hopefully it gives you an idea on how to approach these type of drafts, especially Superflex drafts. And the league size matters because this was a 12-team league and I was panicking about the QB position. And I think QBs went for, relatively what I expected them to go for. Like normal, it was like a normal draft where people didn't overspend on QBs and stuff like that. So one thing I could have done better was wait a little bit on the QB position and get some of the high end QBs for cheaper than I got my QBs. But again, that's learning for my upcoming drafts. All right. That is it. Until next time, peace out. Take care of yourselves. I'm out.